7 rounds of racing. We have our final one here today. Event number 8 of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland comes at you from Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Welcome one and all to this extended stream of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. My name is Connery Maddock. I'm joined by the ever wonderful Paul Smith, and a bit later on we'll be joined by the wonderful Nico Menzel as well. It's a fantastic day here in Barcelona for some finale action, but first and foremost, Paul, we have a little bit of a treat before we get going, and that is the quote-unquote influencers, the famous Twitch and YouTube streamers in sim racing, giving us a little bit of a show, as well as our very own Nico Menzel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a bit of fun out there, and the drivers getting to drive the brand new Porsche 992, the brand new Cup car. So have a bit of an outing in that, see how they get on, and see what the racing's like with that, because it is a tremendous car. And yeah, let's have a bit of fun to start off the day.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Of course, if you're familiar with the way the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup was run, they had a very similar event before their races as well. So it's basically the same as that. We even have many of the same names as appeared in the All-Star events. And of course, the preview events for the new cars, for the new car here on iRacing from Porsche, the Porsche 992 911 GT3 Cup car. A little bit of a mouthful, but it is a fantastic machine. It's all round an upgrade compared to the old 911 Cup car that we had on iRacing before, Paul.
It certainly is, and the drivers have been saying about how it's a little bit more forgiving a car is this one. That can really push this car a bit more than you used to with the old 991 car. So definitely we can see people a little bit more pushing to the limit and seeing what they can extract from this car.
It's definitely worth clarifying as well. The main championship, the finale of that, which is probably what everyone's been waiting for, they will still be using the old 911 GT3 Cup car, because that is what we've been using since the very start of the season. The influencers, however, will have to deal with the new 992 variant of the GT3 Cup car, which is a pretty exciting prospect. And, well, the practice server is already live with drivers doing a couple of laps at this point. And well, Paul, these guys, most of them will actually be very familiar with each other from racing previous, and maybe we'll get ourselves a little bit of an insight into their minds during the race as well, and a couple of the conversations between them.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be hearing from our influencers throughout the opening of this show, and yeah, we'll get to see what their thoughts are and what they're expecting from today's event. This should be fun, and yeah, we've got a nice couple of short races for these guys before we then get into the main event later on. And yeah, a couple of those names. I mean, Matt Malone is someone that we know very well. He commentated on the final finale of the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup this year. So, well, he says that he was present whilst me and yourself commentated on that. But no, he did a very good job, and it's great to see him back out there fighting along with some of the others.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's speak to one of the influencer drivers. Of course, you see them all up on your screen right there. We've got Dan Suzuki, got Rai, if you're familiar with his YouTube channel, then that is Pixel Helden. You have Xavier Sanchez, the famous Spanish streamer on Twitch. You have Dave Gaming there, the German YouTuber, and of course you have the one, the only Matt Malone there in his absolutely wonderful shades as well. But we have brought Dan Suzuki up into the commentary booth here to start, and Dan, it's another little influencer streamer race that you're taking part in. Do you think you're going to have any luck today?
I hope so. I mean, let's see. Let's see how lap 1 goes, and then we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been able to prepare all that much for this one? I know it was a little bit last minute getting everyone together here for this one, but are you feeling confident?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have time yesterday since I wasn't at home, but I think the 60 minutes of practice here should be sufficient. Let's see.
Yeah, it should be. Otherwise, maybe you won't be getting the win here today. But who do you think will be the favorite in this race?
In ours here?
Yes, in this one here.
I would bet on Heikki.
Heikki, okay. There we go. It's a good bet. It's a good bet. You've been pretty quick in practice as well. You don't want to back yourself?
I don't know how I did that lap time. I'm trying to recreate it, but without success.
Of course, we do have to move things along relatively quickly here, so we'll let you get back to it, Dan. But thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck in the event.
Thank you very much.
Well, there we go, Paul. That was Dan Suzuki there from the Influencer event, and a man of few words, but he does all of his talking on track, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly where you would do your... You can't sort of talk a good game and all that. You got to then back it up with the action on the track. So it's better to not hype yourself up too much, because if you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to win this easily," and then you end up binning it, well, it makes you look a little bit silly, doesn't it?
It does, and we can bring in our next influencer here. It's Dave Kaming from the very famous German language-focused YouTube channel here. Hello, Dave. You are, of course, still muted in the Discord at the moment, so if you can sort that out, that would be absolutely fine. But it's worth reminding you. There we go. Dave, how does it feel to be here today in this streamer event, I suppose?
It feels great. It's honestly the first time I really get in touch with a new cup car in iRacing, and it feels great, the 992.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you're one of those drivers that it's probably the one of... You're still very experienced with iRacing, but maybe you don't have as much recent experience as some of the other drivers in here today. Do you think that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage you'll have to handle?
I hope not. Of course, it is better if you're used to the sim at the moment, but I think so far the times are quite good, and I hope that I will at least be able to get up to P4 and maybe podium if something happens in front of me.
Yeah, that was, exactly part of one of the questions I was going to ask you, but who do you think is going to take the outright win today here in the Influencer event?
Well, I think Javi is quite quick, but I also think that Dan has shown some alien times already. So let's see.
Yeah, he was a little bit too humble in his interview, so he was trying to sort of play down his talents, but I'm sure he's got at least one vote of confidence. But thank you very much for joining us here, Dave, and good luck for your race.
Thanks. Enjoy the show. Thank you.
There we go. That was Dave Gaming there, Paul. Of course, we haven't seen him in an influencer race so far, neither on this or on the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup All-Stars events as well. So a little bit of an unknown element coming into this.
Absolutely, yeah. He's somebody who we've got to keep an eye out for him, because he might just pull out something out of the bag. And one thing I'm noticing, seeing all these influencers sim rigs, is how jealous I am of their streaming setup, because all these DSLRs, you got moving tracking cameras. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly something to be quite jealous of. In fact, I do have 3 screens, not all of them are the same size though, so it's kind of quite useless for sim racing. But it really is good to have the wider angle of view. But we do get ourselves to talk to another one of our influencer drivers here today. We have he has 2 names it seems. He has Rai, and he also has DiePixelHelden as well, as is his YouTube channel is called. Hello there, and we've spoken to a couple of your competitors already. How's the confidence feeling coming into this race?
First of all, hello everyone. My name is Ray, and DiePixelHelden is my YouTube channel, because DiePixelHelden means in English the Pixel Heroes. So we are a group of six people. So that's the reason why. And the confidence to the race, I don't know. I have a bit struggle with the 992 Cup Porsche, but I hope to a good race, and we will see.
It seems like we were getting your name wrong all throughout the Porsche Carrera Super Cup Year All-Stars event, so we can apologize for that one. But we never got corrected on that one, unfortunately. But hooray! We will be moving into qualifying shortly. Have you had all that much time to prepare for this one, or are you just kind of going in with not much practice and seeing how you do?
Not practice at all. I started with the server comes up, I started training. That's all. No time. Sorry.
All right. And just a final question. I've asked this to everyone so far. Who do you think is going to win?
I think favorite is Dan, and maybe Heikki as well. That's my 2 favorites for the 2 races.
I mean, if you ask me, those are probably the two that are going to be fighting at the very front of the field. But we will let you get back to what remains in practice into qualifying, and we'll wish you the best of luck in your race.
Thank you. Have good entertainment and good races as well.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. Well, that was Ray there from the Die Pixel Helden channel there. Paul, finally we get his name right.
Yeah, it's only taken us, pretty much a whole of 2021 to get it right, but there you go. But, you know, it's great to see this mix of streamers, of different language streamers as well. You know, it's great to have that mix of people bringing the sim racing community as a whole together for an event like this. So, yeah, it's been... I'm looking forward to this. Times, actually, in the practice, I can see the times now practice at the moment. Relatively close, you know, considering that the drivers haven't actually had that much time to prepare for this. Yes, it's a fixed setup, but still really close between them all.
Of course, damage is going to be off as well, so there's a little bit more leniency when it comes to the contact. Hopefully everyone was able to keep it clean and give us a very good show here today. We are able to speak to, well, maybe not your final streamer driver so far, but certainly one of the ones we haven't spoken to yet. We speak to Matt Malone, of course. Matt, it's yet another streamer race for you here in the whole sort of Porsche Motorsports sim racing umbrella. You feeling pretty good into this one?
Oh, feeling locked and loaded. I had a whole pot of coffee, and I got my special pit vipers on, so I'm ready.
Yeah, we did notice the glasses before we went live here, just taking a little bit of a peek into the zoom. Hopefully it gains you a couple of tenths of a second out there to try and challenge the front runners. But yeah, you know, how's the competitiveness feeling, and who do you think is going to come out on top today?
Oh, well, Dan Suzuki, this guy, you know, he really gets under my skin. You know, this guy's always practicing, he's racing, he's really good. I mean, something's got to be done about this guy. Can we puncture one of his tires?
That's the banter we're looking for. There we go. I'm not sure if we can just throw out some debris out there to puncture one of his tires or anything. That's not something we can do in the sim, unfortunately. But you never know. Something might happen. I'm not saying anything. Maybe I'll try and curse him as a commentator, as I tend to do with some of our drivers out there. But yeah, of course, you know, 2 10-minute races, very, very short races. Is the game plan for this one going to be just drive like a bat out of hell and not look back?
I mean, kind of, yeah. You have to be aggressive, you know, and if something bad happens first race, well, guess what? You're going to be starting first in the next race. So, yeah, I'm going to have to be really aggressive, and hopefully the tires hold up.
Yep, and that's a particular topic we'll have for the championship drivers in particular, because they have a bit of a longer race, so their tires are going to have to hold up a little bit more. But thank you very much for joining us here, Matt, and best of luck in your race.
All right, thanks. Have fun.
All right, that was Matt Malone there. Certainly does need no introduction, Paul. And well, I get the feeling he was doing a bit of like maybe a bit of a Dr. Disrespect impression or something like that there with the banter, with the trash talk. So so yeah, it certainly brings a positive, well, a hype energy. I wouldn't maybe say a positive energy.
He can talk a good game, can Matt? It's the actual application of said game that seems to go lacking sometimes. But no, he's always entertaining as Matt, and if anybody's ever watched any of his streams, you'll know what a character he is. Yeah,
certainly an incredible character in the sim racing community as well. It's an absolute pleasure to have him on these influencer races. But of course, our next segment here is going to be one with Nico Menzel. Of course, Nico has been able to join us as a guest commentator for a couple of races over the course of this season. He's standing by with us right now. And well, Nico, you have a little bit of well, a little bit later, you'll have a bit of a tour of your sim rig.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's about to race and not only to commentate. So first I'm gonna drive myself against the influencers. To be honest, me as not a sim racing pro, I'm a real world pro in racing, but I'm really trying my best. Let's see, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, like we mentioned before, at the very start of the show, we are using the new 992 variant Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car in this one. The same one that they use in the current series in the real world as well, and a car that you're very familiar with as well. How have you got on with it on iRacing?
Yeah, I mean, the differences in reality and on the sim are exactly the same. So the 992 is just better everywhere, especially in braking, easier to handle without the ABS, which is always tricky with a cup car because the front tires are wider. So you're still able to lock up quite easily. It's very hard to drive and a real good car to learn how to drive. And the guys being fast with the Porsche Cup car are always fast everywhere, and that's the best school you can go through. And the 992 has more aero and generally the better car, and in the end of the day also faster.
Yeah, and of course we will have to get a little bit of a peek of your sim rig now, because of course we've seen maybe a couple of views from a couple of the other drivers in the influencer race of their rigs. I know Dave had the sort of rear-facing shot of his setup as well. What you got to work with there over in Germany?
Yeah, let's have a look. I will just move the camera, and there you go. That's the sim I'm going to use. And a fun fact, looking out of that window, I can see the pit building of Nürburgring. So Nürburgring to another track. To Nürburgring, which was racing day, but still think lightly.
Yeah, but it's absolutely fascinating to live that close to such a famous racetrack. I lived relatively close to Donington Park at one point, but I don't think Donington Park is as famous as the Nürburgring is. Certainly, maybe a little bit more well known in British motorsports. But it's great to see you here with us, Nico, and. Well, how's your confidence coming into this race? Because we've got qualifying coming up in a couple of minutes, and you're putting down some relatively competitive lap times as well. So do you think it's going to be a positive day for you today?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I'm absolutely trying my best to get it all done. I mean, qualifying is always important, especially around Barcelona, because it's not easy to overtake around that track. And same in real world, same in F1, very, very challenging. But also very challenging for the tire itself. So let's see how it will keep up.
Well, of course, we're certainly looking forward to how you do in this race. We will leave you to be able to get yourself set up in your sim rig now, because we are imminently going to be going into qualifying. But best of luck, and hopefully it's a positive result for you today.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. That was Nico Menzel there. He's going to be jumping in for the influencer race. He'll be jumping out of the rig when it comes to the main championship races here today. We haven't really been able to talk about that just too much just yet, Paul. The ever-raging battle between Maximilian Benecke and Diogo Pinto, just 9 points between them, and it can go either way today once we get to those events.
It's been a tremendous battle, hasn't it? All the way through this championship between Benecke and Pinto, but Pinto even, should I say. And well, it's been a case of tit for tat. You know, oh, you can win this race. Well, I've won this race. Oh, you won that race. I'll win this race. So we had a spell where there was 2 races where at the end of it, the championship position hadn't changed at all. Last time out, that was big. When we had that incident for Pinto just to drop down the order, and that just gave Benecke that little bit of breathing space. That being said, you know, don't write out Pinto out of this. We've seen how aggressive he is out there on track, and yes, they may be brand new teammates for them both, but still, I would not write him out of this one. But Benecke knows what he has to do. He has to score well, score early.
Well, that's for a little bit later on. We have these 2 influencer races to get out of the way first here at Barcelona, Catalonia. Before we go to qualifying, here's a short message from our wonderful car manufacturer, Porsche. that was Porsche on the lovely showcase video of the 992 Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. A fantastic machine indeed. We'll get to see it here in the 2 influencer races that we have. 2 races consisting of 10 minutes. The second race will have a full reverse grid. Once we're done with this influencer segment of the show, we'll be heading in towards the main championship where we have that big Titanic battle for P1 and the biggest prize. My name is Connery Maddock. I'm joined by the ever wonderful Paul Smith here on the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland show, and of course on the Porsche YouTube channel as well. Paul, we're just about getting ourselves set up here for qualifying in the Influencer Series. Just any expectations heading into this one?
I think the times will be pretty close out there in qualifying. They've got a limited number of laps that they can set their lap time in. Quickest laps will come in around lap 2, lap 3. It's quite cool track temperature. I'm looking at my timing screen here, 26 degrees track temperature at the moment. So, oh, there we go. It comes up on screen for me nicely. Thank you very much, Hugo. But you know, it's a cloudy sky. It's going to stay cool. That'll help these drivers be able to push these cars all the way through the race. They won't have to do any sort of tyre management. Yeah, it's a 10-minute race, but still, after about 5 minutes, those tyres do start dropping off in their performance. So if you can hang on to them for just that little bit longer, you can have an advantage over the rest of your competitors out there.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of a mention of that earlier on with one of the influencer interviews. But of course, you know, once we get to the main championship races, those will be 30 minutes long a piece, so the tires do become a little bit of more of an issue in those ones. But we've got cars on track here for qualifying here, Paul. It's a little bit different compared to the championship qualifying here for these influencer drivers. They have a total of 15 minutes to be able to do a total of 5 flying laps. So we've been nice and we've given them a couple of extra laps to be able to get themselves their time and their grids, their starting spot on the grid.
Certainly have, and I think we've been a little bit too kind, if I'm honest. But no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, it's when you've got some drivers who aren't as used to the car as some others, or used to the sim as some others, then yeah, you've got to give them that bit of extra opportunity to get those laps. And of course, that means that people like Heike that we're seeing right here now, he. You know, we've seen how quick he is in these influencer events. It just gives him more opportunities to set an even quicker lap time.
Yeah, it really does, and you can see the onboard there with just trying to work out the wheel a little bit, chatting in and amongst well, with his stream, possibly with the drivers as well. Of course, you know, Sanchez primarily well, for sure, a Spanish streamer uses that language for his streams as well, and which is why we didn't get ourselves an interview with him, because he wasn't too confident in his English skills, but I'm sure it's absolutely fine, Xavier, as he heads his way through towards the middle sector of the lap. Of course, he was one of the faster drivers, if not, well, he's second place in practice, and with a little bit of a slide there through the S's section up the hill. Not really an ideal first lap so far, but thankfully he has 4 other chances to get it right.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty confident in saying that his English is probably better than my Spanish, that's for sure. So, yeah, he's coming through now. This is the tricky part of the track. This is the more technical section of the track. Turns 10, 11, 12. Then you go along this little straight, keep it on the left-hand side here, onto the brakes. 13, it wants to drop away from you, it pushes you wide, you've got to get it over to the right for the chicane. Try not to hit the inside of that second part of the chicane. Run it out as far as possible to get the run out of the final corner. You can see him with that steering wheel. I'm pretty confident in saying that's one of the Porsche rims that he's actually using for this event, as he heads down towards turn number 1. So yeah, there you go, straight away, fastest by like 1/4.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Dan Suzuki coming across the line, about 1/4 second behind Heike, and then Matt Malone, not too far behind Dan there. That's a pretty decent time there from Malone to start things off. Dipixel Helden, a little bit adrift of the other 3 that have set qualifying time so far. Remember, we're only going to get 6 cars in the influencer races here today, but hopefully they're still, regardless of that fact, going to be absolutely action-packed. So the drivers have not set times just yet. Nico Menzel has not set a time just yet. He's coming through the final corners now to get himself hopefully onto the board. Dave Gaming actually had a little bit of an instant on his first lap, so that would be invalid for him. But thankfully these guys have plenty of laps to get things done. There's Nico Menzel up onto the board. 4th place in qualifying for the moment.
Yep, and our commentary colleague there for later on today. He's been getting a little bit of practice in, didn't have a lot of time because he was actually working on a German TV broadcast just earlier this morning, so he had to rush home from there and then get himself set up in the rig and get whatever laps he could get in there. So confidently he is quicker. I'm very confident that he is quicker than myself, mainly because of the fact that we were just running laps before the broadcast started. I wanted to get a feel of what the car was like around here, and it's tricky in places, especially on the brakes. Dan Suzuki, what a time!
That's a great one, a 1:46.937. 7/10 of a second faster than Heike's time. Heike's coming across the line now. Let's see if he's able to best that time. Doesn't look like it. Does improve and is able to... well, doesn't improve, in fact. That wasn't a valid lap time from Heike coming across the line that time by, but Matt Malone was able to go quicker. Up into 2nd place now, so great stuff from Matt. Here's Dave Gaming heading his way up towards the line now. Of course, he's struggled to set a lap time so far here in this one, and that struggle continues here. He's going to be starting a flying lap here now.
Yep, down to turn 1 then, onto the brake. Swing it in there through turn number 1. Turn 2, careful not to spin it so easily done. Turn 3, you've got to be patient with the throttle here. Midway through the corner, it just opens up. Get on the throttle, let it run out wide out here to the left-hand side. Using the curb, straddling the curb into 4 then. You want to open this up as much as possible. Some drivers like to hug this inside like we're seeing here from Dave. Some like to just apex it off and get out again. The hairpin then, turn 5, really, really slow corner. Get on the power through 6. This is a pretty nothing curve here. But then you've got to get on the brakes, bottom of the hill for turn 7. Use all the curb here on the right. Over to the left-hand side. Turn 9, it's quite a blind apex. Up over the crest, onto the power, and then heading into that final section, as we said earlier. Very, very technical part of the track as, well, Dan Suzuki just keeps on getting faster and faster out there.
He does. It seems like he's certainly the man to beat at the moment, and seeming like that no one can match him at the moment either, as we're continuing to ride on board here with Dave Gaming heading into the final chicane now. Hopefully able to get a time on the board this time around. Of course, compared to a lot of the other drivers here, not as familiar with iRacing in recent times. That's not to say he hasn't done it though. He's done it quite often in the past, but more focusing on other titles, other platforms right now, as he does head his way across the line, and it is a lap time being set as well. So 5th place, it shuffles Nico Menzel down into 6th and last at the moment.
Nico needs to pull his finger out here then, if he wants to get with them. He's the other one outside of 1 second of Dan Suzuki, as we actually had Matt Lemon pull over to the side there, so he's not being able to set a lap time this time. Nico Menzel goes across the line and does improve, but still not within a second. Here we see Dipixel Helden go through that sweeping turn right, and well, down towards turn number 10. Onto the brakes he goes. This will be his 4th lap. Not going quicker in any of the sectors so far, so I think that the tyres have just dropped off for where they give you that best grip right there, but you can see him working the wheel then, using the Formula style wheel. Picked up on the Porsche Contender Series broadcast from yesterday. Some of the drivers favour the Formula style wheel, some favour the more round GT style wheel. Connery, I know that was a conversation you had yesterday, and well, we're seeing that once again here today.
Yeah, we absolutely are. As well, Typixel Helden still out there getting his laps done. You know, they have plenty of laps to do here. It's of course, if you're familiar with that channel, there's multiple people that are behind that channel. This is Ray behind the wheel of the number 9 machine here, down into P5 now, because there's been a bit of a shuffle further forward. So Stan Suzuki still leading from Matt Malone, from Dave Gaming, from Heike at this point. Heike, I get the feeling, struggling a little bit here in qualifying. Certainly not as quick as he was in practice. His fastest time in qualifying right now is a 1:47.635. His best in practice was a 1:46.820.
That's the pressure of qualifying, isn't it? You know, get one lap wrong, or don't get a clean first lap, and then you start putting pressure upon yourself for the rest of it. A lot of the drivers in this influencer race saying that this is the man that they're looking out for. Well, currently 4th place, 2nd row of the grid, provisionally. He did improve. He's got a PB in Sector 1. He has improved in Sector 1, so he'll be hoping to pick up the pace here. We'll see how he does in Sector 2. Dan Suzuki's going a little bit quicker in Sector 2 as well, so he's certainly picking up the pace. Heike not quite as fast in the middle sector as he's done previously.
Yeah, so we'll watch him head his way all the way around here, and well, we'll see what the Spanish driver can do into the final chicane. If she could get that car slowed all the way down. Of course, this chicane really, well, relatively controversial in the real world, as some people felt that it ruins the flow through the final couple of corners of the lap here at Barcelona, Catalonia. But Sanchez now heading his way towards the line. This will be his last available lap time to set, and it is a good one. Not good enough to pass Dan Suzuki for provisional pole position, but good enough to get him on that front row.
Yeah, and that's what he needed to do there. He needed to just get back up there. I think he was just driving within himself. As we look at our colleague Nico Menzel, of course, real-world driver. Multiple time winner of the Nürburgring 24 Hours in the, I believe it was the SP9 category, wasn't it? That he won in, so twice a winner in that. So he's a driver who can pedal a car, that's for sure, but he's had his 5 laps now, so he won't be able to set any more lap times, but he will use this time. See, this is the competitor right here. He's using all the time available to just get as much practice as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, and you certainly can't blame him, as yes, he's no stranger to sim racing, but again, maybe has not got as much practice with the way iRacing works, in particular with the 992. So he's going to get as much practice out there as possible. Even if he isn't going to improve from his last place starting position at the moment, still going to keep himself fresh and ready heading into that first race. We'll have 2 10-minute races here in the influencer portion of the broadcast. There's Dave Gaming actually on my screen going for a bit of a spin on his 4th lap of 5. So he's slowly running out of laps to do as well. But yeah, returning to the point though, we'll get 2 10-minute races of the Influencer Series, and then of course we'll be heading into the main championship a little bit later on. So even though you see 2 races done here in the Influencer Series, you do want to stick around because the main championship will be on after this. But Nico Menzel still just wheeling that car on its way around at the moment, and you can just see how unstable this car can be sometimes, and well, I guess as a result, how fun it can be to drive.
Yeah, I mean, it is a completely rear-engine car. The engine is past the rear axle, so if you get that back end out at all, you've got to fight it. Fortunately, this car, it has a bit more aerodynamic grip than the previous, the 991, which you'll see the pro Simracers racing later on after this Influencers event. But yeah, these drivers have got a bit more of a forgiving car out there here today.
Yeah, that's a comment that I've seen from a lot of, even the professional drivers here in sim racing. The differences between the old 911 GT3 Cup car and this one. Even though it's faster, it's got different tires on it. It's a bit wider. It's a bit more horsepower on it as well. So it's a bit of a different beast. It's on average, it is maybe a couple of tenths faster per second at the average racetrack than the old car. So, but even though it is faster, it can be much more forgiving and much more stable than the old one it used to be. At least that's the general consensus that we've seen from a lot of drivers that have experienced both cars and are very quick in both cars. But without further ado, we'll get us to see ourselves the starting grid then for influencer race number 1. Dan Suzuki on pole position with Xavier Sanchez Heike in P2. Matt Malone will start in 3rd with David Karapetian, Dave Gaming in P4. Matthew Vaca from Die Pixelhelden, or Ray, as is his name as well, in P5. Nico Menzel, our professional Porsche driver, and of course the esports and real-life German commentator as well, in P6 here today. He'll be starting at the very back, just on the edge of a second outside of Dan Suzuki's time. So he'll certainly be wanting to go forward here today and not hang around there at the very back of the starting grid. But of course the gridding procedure is now underway in this one, and soon we'll be able to go racing here at Catalonia.
So the wheel, drivers starting to take to the grid, and well, turn 1 can be a bit interesting. Cold tyres, don't forget, so you can easily snatch a break down in towards turn number 1. The hairpin at turn 5, when you've got the big grid, which we'll see later on, that can be a real key point where there can be some big incidents happen. So yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting first lap. Hopefully they all make it through and then they can really push on after that.
Well, drivers getting themselves ready. We've got well, basically 5 cars on the starting grid. We're just waiting for Ray, Die Pixelhelden, to get himself onto the starting grid, and then we'll get ourselves preparation for the go signal here at Catalonia. So all drivers have gotten themselves to the starting grid now. Influencer race number 1 about to get itself underway here in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. We are green here in Barcelona. It's a poor start there from Heike from the front row. He'll slowly but steadily drop back into the pack, as it seems like Matt Malone has got himself up into 2nd place. Matt Malone looking to try and challenge for 1st. Around the outside of Dan Suzuki in towards turn number 1. This is a tricky piece of track to negotiate. Suzuki leads from Malone. Now it's Die Pixelhelden and Heike fighting side by side for P3 behind as they go into the long right-hander. Oh, Dave Gaming sticking his nose down the inside there as well.
Yeah, nice clean start there, that one for sure. In towards turn number 4, and yeah, Heike, you mentioned it, didn't get the best getaway, just getting caught up at the start, and well, the Pixelhelden doing a good job to put the pressure on him here, although saying that Dave Gaming is putting the pressure on now. Nico Menzel, he didn't have the best launch off the grid either, but he's nicely tagged on to the back of this queue of cars. There's a moment, a big moment for Matt Malone.
Yeah, big moment. Remember, on the first lap here, you can suffer from a bit of cold tire syndrome. You're not able to do a formation lap to warm them up, of course, and well, it's a good save though from Matt Malone to keep that car pointed in relatively the right direction. It does lose himself a handful of positions. He goes back into P5 now, but it could have been so much worse, and he's very thankful it wasn't so much worse.
In fact, he's got himself straight ahead of Dave Gaming here, so Malone, I think he'll be a little bit annoyed with himself to make that mistake, because he's allowed there to be just a little bit of a gap now between himself and Die Pixelhelden in front, so he'll be hoping to make amends for that. And yeah, the front 3 are just slowly just separating out a little bit. It's these 3 at the back that are the closest together.
Here's the onboard then with our fellow commentator, Nico Menzel. Of course, professional driver in the real world as well, with Porsche, like you said, has competed in the Nürburgring 24-hour races. In fact, won a handful of them as well in the SP9 class. So certainly not a driver to be sniffed at. Still a lot of work to do in this race. He still needs to try and catch up and lock onto the back bumper of Dave Gaming a little bit further down the road and see what further progress he can make from there. So 7.5 minutes left to go. Feels stringing out just that little bit as everyone gets themselves cycled into a bit of a rhythm here in our first race. Remember, at the end of this one, we'll get the results and then we'll use those results inverted to set the grid for race number 2, which can certainly be a lot more interesting than the first race, considering the likes of Dan Suzuki and Heikki will then have to try and go through the field. Oh my word, what's happened there? As Heikki's gone off and so has Pixelhelden, both in the same corner, not related to not the same incident, but the same place, and they've lost a couple of positions.
Yeah, that's dropped them down, and well, that means that these drivers at the front now, all of a sudden, well, Dan Suzuki's thank his lucky stars. He's got about a 3.5 second lead now over Matt Malone and Dave Gaming. Here we go then, it's through the chicane. It's a tricky corner, and he's caught the curbing, and in fact it was the car in front that was the instigator of that Heikki. And well, De Pixelhelden just caught that curb wrong through the chicane, and it just sends him around.
Yeah, it does, and well, there's a little bit of seeing what's going on ahead and you making the same mistake in that instance as well. We saw Malone make the same error a couple of laps ago as well, so it seems like these cars getting relatively loose through the exit of the chicane there, and it's very tricky to keep the cars pointed in the correct direction. Here's the battle developing towards the rear end of the field, though. Of course, we do have Heikki versus Nico Menzel here, as Heikki is trying to look to work his way by. He hasn't been entirely successful just yet. Maybe going to be looking to get close in towards turn number 4 here. And turn 5 lunge is also a potential thing that can happen as well, but you're going to have to follow as closely as you dare through the preceding couple of corners to make that happen. So the opportunity is not available here for Heikki just yet. Next big opportunity possibly down into the turn 10 happen.
Well, we did hear from Nico that it is a difficult track to overtake at here, and we found that time and again, haven't we, with various championships that we've commentated on here. Not the easiest. These cars, with their slightly more aerodynamic grip and downforce, in fact, there goes the look down the inside into 10. Nico, he's not somebody to suffer fools gladly. He's really going to just put his car in the right position, exactly where he needs to, and he's going to make it very difficult here for Heikki.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, let's see if Heikki makes the lunge down the inside at the chicane at the end of the lap. He does. He makes contact with Menzel, though. Menzel goes for a bit of a spin through the final couple of corners. He's certainly not going to be very happy about that one. It was a door that was not available there for Heikki to stick his nose down in towards, and yeah, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of frustration after that, I suppose.
Yeah, I can understand why Nico wouldn't be happy with that, because, as you say, the door wasn't open there. You always look like you've got the gap there to make a lunge down the inside, but he was nowhere near alongside enough there to actually make that move stick. And so instead, around goes Nico from that slightest of contact. Of course, you may be thinking, well, why did you spin so easily? Well, it's because into that corner, you're onto the brakes, so you've got the weight has transferred onto the front of the car, and that then means that the rear end is just that little bit lighter, and the slightest of contact that can just send you around. So that's exactly what happened there between those two. And now we've got the battle for second place, Matt Malone and Dave Gaming.
Yeah, we've dragged them into our commentary booth here, so hopefully we're not disrupting their streams too much. Maybe we can listen in, and if Matt is listening, he can give us a little bit of insight into how his race is going so far. Started third in second, and well, you've got Dave Gaming behind you, though.
Yeah, had a great start, and then there's an oil slick out there.
Apparently, you know, we saw 2 cars go off ahead of you. You got yourself gifted those positions, but now you're having to try and put up a defense to Dave.
Yeah, I know. I forgot about Dan. He can have the win. I got to worry about holding second here.
Yeah, I heard you should brake definitely 20-30 inches earlier into turn 1.
Oh yeah, I'm going full defensive mode.
I'm fine with that.
It's great to hear, guys. Here comes, well, the look to the outside, but no sting in the tail here in this one, unfortunately, for Dave Gaming. I'll let you guys get back to it and not disrupt you guys any further. But there we go. Just it's great to get a little bit of an insight there into the driver's heads, Paul. A little bit of the trash talk going as well.
This is what we're here for. We're here for a bit of entertainment, a bit of more light-hearted racing before the serious stuff starts. Look at that defensive line from Malone. He's taking that tight line. He's going to be open to a move, the cut back, and here it comes then. Dave Gaming, he's looking, but it's not quite on through 6 into 7. But Matt Malone, if he slows them down anymore, they're going to end up with Heike catching up to the back of them, because he's catching up behind them. So never say never, but we are running out of time here. We'll get about one more lap in this race.
Yeah, it looks like we're heading. Well, we'll see when Dan Suzuki heads his way across the line, but another little bit of overcommitment to the hairpin from Malone there, as it was a bit of a puff of white smoke coming from his car there, as we can see the two of them in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Of course, we can only see the sort of the back and the side of Dave's head at the moment, but we can see Matt Malone in all of his glory. Both of them following very, very close together, coming through that final chicane on towards the final lap then of this 10-minute event. Malone has been able to pull out a little bit of a gap here coming up towards turn number 1, makes him just that little bit safer.
Yep, certainly does. Not really any move happening there for Dave Gaming. And this is the thing, if you get that run out of the chicane and carry that speed all the way down the straight, it doesn't matter if you've got the slipstream, you've got that initial advantage, which then means that you can just ease away to start with, and by the time you've caught you're heading into turn 1, there's no move on.
And here we go. So Dan Suzuki's currently running for the hills. He looks to be the relatively certain winner of this one. Of course, you can say nothing for absolute certain here in events like this one. But for P2, certainly everything all up for grabs between Matt Malone and Dave Gaming. Malone leads that battle for the moment, but it only requires one mistake, and Dave Gaming is back in this one, in that fight for P2. Dan Suzuki's on his way down in towards the hairpin now. He's just about 5 seconds ahead of these guys. Malone trying to cheese with the track limits there. Has he got a slowdown penalty? I think he has. And now here comes Dave Gaming challenging on the brakes in towards the hairpin. Malone has to serve that slowdown penalty now to be able to get himself the position secured still, as Dave Gaming has to try and battle side by side up in towards the final sector through the long right-hander now. Dave Gaming looking to try and get no momentum from the wider line, but he's still on the outside for the next right-hander. If he's able to hold it here, he has the inside for the narrow chicane here at the very end of the lap. Malone will still try and fight it out with him. I hope he's got that penalty served. Dan Suzuki comes across the line to win the first race of the Influencer Series here in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. Matt Malone does hold on to second. We'll have to wait a couple of moments for confirmation. There was side-by-side, such a close side-by-side behind between Dave Gaming and Heike, who was rapidly catching that particular battle. But oh my words, and in fact, we'll get ourselves confirmation of the results here. I think Matt Malone did just about get away with that one, Paul. That was absolutely crazy.
It certainly was. There you go, there's your results up on screen. Dan Suzuki out for a nice Sunday afternoon drive for him, but the rest of them, I mean, something happened to them all pretty much out there for the rest of the field, but it's that battle for third place. Dave Gaming only just staying ahead of Xavier Sanchez right there. So Heike just mean that he starts on the second row of the grid for the second race of this event. And well, De Pixelhelden, he'll be disappointed with how he fell to the back.
Yeah, I think he will as well, as we'll get ourselves just this little 5-minute break in between races, and we'll go 10 minutes of racing once again, this time with the reverse grid. So Die Pixelhelden Matthew Vaca will be on the on pole position with Nico Menzel on the front row as well. We do have a little bit of time here to talk to Dan Suzuki once again. Dan, that seemed like a relatively low-key race for you. It seemed like everyone who was relatively close to challenging you just had their own issues behind with the S's section.
Yeah, they seem to be busy battling each other behind, so it was pretty chill for me, but yeah.
Do you have a game plan now going into race 2? Because, you know, as is the result of finishing first in the first race, you have to start at the very back for the second race now. What's the plan?
Plan is OP start and then easy P1 into turn 1. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Let's try to survive the first few meters and then try to get as far as possible.
I mean, that start was relatively clean, so I think you'll be surprised in this second race here. Hopefully, I'm not cursing it once again here, but but there we go. Yeah, that seemed a pretty relaxed drive for you. Like I said, everyone just happened to have their own issues behind you. It's going to be the opposite in this race. Are you ready for it?
I'm definitely ready for it. Looking forward to it.
Well, there we go. We'll let you get back to it then, and best of luck in race number 2, and well, hopefully you'll be able to come out with the second win.
Thank you very much.
Well, there we go. That was Dan Suzuki there. We'll toss him back to his fellow drivers here in the communications. But Paul, you know, despite us only having 6 cars for this influencer race, and you know, despite it only being 10 minutes long, you've still got a lot of action there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't we? These drivers, they could put on a bit of a fight out there, and that's what they did. They gave us a bit of entertainment, and you know, that battle between Matt Malone and Dave Gaming really was a good little bit of entertainment, and even a little bit of fighting talk between the two of them as well on commentary. So yeah, good to hear from the drivers. It's not that easy to talk and be on a broadcast. You know, it's not easy for me to talk right now. It's not easy to drive and talk on the broadcast whilst you're driving. I know that from experience. Mind you, I'm finding it hard to speak now.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, you know, are used to talking to their chat while they're racing, so I guess it's not too foreign of a concept for them. But I'm always a little bit sketched out when dragging them in the middle of a race like that, because I don't want to disturb them. I don't want to put them off their game. But that's just a fact of life here when you're having to do these races, so to speak. But we got a couple of minutes now. You can see the timer in the top left of your screen. That's our countdown to the grid of race number 2. Again, another 10-minute race, full reverse grid. And then, of course, we'll have a little bit of a break before we get into our main championship races here this evening, which will be it's going to be absolutely insane, let me tell you that. But we still got to wait just that little bit longer. All good, you know, benefits come to those who wait, I suppose, here in this one. But we got this second influencer race coming up. And, well, let's see if those drivers that have benefited from the reverse grid here today, the likes of Dipixelhelden and Nico Menzel in particular, are able to hold position at the front of the field. That's the important thing that you have to get perfect in a reverse grid race. If you're benefiting from the reverse grid, you basically need to make your car the widest car that has ever been seen on a racetrack.
Well, I mean, we saw it with Nico, didn't we, when he was battling with Heike, just positioning the car exactly where he needed to, and kept it nice and clean. Okay, there was that contact into the chicane, which he wouldn't have appreciated, that's for sure. But still, knowing where to position your car is a crucial thing to know and to learn for racing, not just in sim racing, but in the real world, karting and full metal motorsport. You really need to know how to defend and where to defend, because there's no point defending thin air, as somebody once told me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, timer has expired. We're ready to go into the gridding procedure for race number 2. And this is how the starting grid looks here for race 2 of the Influencer Series. We got Dipixelhelden on pole position with Nico Menzel on the outside of the front row. Xavier Sanchez starts in 3rd with Dave Gaming in 4th place. Matt Malone will have to start 5th here in this one, with Dan Suzuki starting at the very back of the grid. We didn't see much of him during race number 1 because he decided to run away at the very front of the field. Hopefully we're able to see a little bit more of him here in race number 2. We're just about to get going here for the second race of the evening. We're heading into the Championship Series relatively soon. We're green flag here in the Influencer race, and it's a horrible start from Typixelhelden from pole position. He'll lose all of those positions on the way down in towards turn number 1. It's Menzel leading now in towards the first turn. Heike looking to challenge around the outside into here, late on the brakes as you dare to try and draw yourself along enough side. Oh my words, Nico Menzel spun it into the gravel now. Both the front row starters having an absolute nightmare here in this one. The battle still continues. Heike is ahead with Dan Suzuki behind, and Dave Gaming trying to fight side by side as well as they head into turn 4.
Yeah, Nico managed to clip the anti-cut curb at turn 1. It's there for a reason, to stop you cutting the curb, and well, it spat him out is what happened. So yeah, not the best of starts for Nico or for Typixelhelden either, as he dropped to the back of the field. But right now, Dan Suzuki, Heike, this is the battle we wanted in the first race. We're getting now in this second race.
You're absolutely right. This is the coming into this race. This is the battle that we thought we were going to have. Who's that gone off in the background? Dave Gaming struggling to keep a hold of the car. Is able to not spin all the way right around, but it does give the cars behind that had issues earlier on in the lap an opportunity to maybe try and get past someone during the course of this race. As a result of those incidents, things have spread out just a little bit more than they were in race number 1, but we still have this battle for the race lead then between Heike and Suzuki.
Look at how close they are. They've got about 5 laps. We got 6 laps out of that first race, so we're looking at about a similar amount of time. Here's the replay then, and there you see it. Nico just catches that anti-cut curb. Around he goes. Fortunately enough, you don't get bogged down in the gravel trap here on iRacing, so you can carry on. But look at this, Heike going defensive into turn 1. Here's the move. Can Dan Suzuki hold it around the outside?
Oh, he's got some momentum here, just swings it through now into that long right-hander at turn 3. This is where Heike's going to benefit a lot by being on that inside line. You can be much more flat out through these corners in the new Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars than you can in the old one. They're still door-to-door on the way in towards turn number 4 now. Suzuki still on that outside, but he's conserving the momentum in the car well. Now he's late onto the brakes into the left-hander at turn 5. Gets the back end out, edges just about ahead. Heike, can he slot in? Can he find a gap to go through? No, he can't. So Suzuki's ahead, but he's butchered the S's section, but there's nowhere for Heike to go through.
Yeah, you could see that look of frustration on Dan Suzuki's face as soon as he made that mistake into 7 and 8. And, well, Heike's putting the pressure on to that car in front into the braking zone once again. This is tremendous stuff to watch.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. And, well, Heike's not going to give this one up without a fight. Let me tell you that. He was one of the faster drivers in the practice session, and certainly is very capable of challenging Dan Suzuki here. So don't count him out with the final 6.5 minutes of this race. These races do go by very, very quickly here, while being only 10 minutes in length. Nico Menzel, what has happened to Dave Gaming here? Dropping back through the order. Seems like there was a bit of an issue with Dave Gaming. It was a solo spin coming up towards the chicane, I believe. And here's the battle.
Well, here we get, and the thing is, these two battling is just allowing, well, look, you see that car in the background? That's Matt Malone. He's rocketed up to this battle. So Malone, he's on the charge here. He's saying, oh, we're having fun here, boys. I want to join in.
Certainly. They're still door-to-door for the race lead, by the way. These guys are leaving nothing left out there on circuit. The up and under attempt from Heike coming through turn 4. You don't often see it, but that's what Heike's done now. He has to try and commit around the outside of turn 5, though. There's still an overlap on the inside. That Dan Suzuki news. Oh, eager on the power coming off the exit of turn 5. You can see the back ends of the cars just fishtailing about on exit. Heike to the inside through the S's section. Matt Malone is now very much involved in this battle due to the amount of fighting that Dan and Heike have been doing. Can Matt capitalize on all of this, though?
If anybody thinks that this is just the front two putting on a show for the cameras, you are wrongly mistaken. These two want to beat each other. They want to be the one to win. And Matt Malone saying, right, well, I've got my shirts on, boys. It's the middle of the day. Let's go for it.
Yep, absolutely. So 5 minutes left to go in this one. It's halfway in this race, and well, 3 drivers that can come across the line any order here inside of the top 3. You have to look quite far back to see where Nico Menzel is at the moment. He's about 8 or so seconds behind these guys. So unless something absolutely tragic happens in this front pack, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to gain positions. But Heikki has the slipstream on the race leader down in towards turn 1 this time. To the inside of turn 1. Suzuki just tries to swing it out wide, try and get the best entry to the corner possible, carry that mid-corner speed all the way through. He's going to keep himself ahead for now, slides up across the nose of Heikki. Heikki's not going to appreciate that.
Oh, this is brilliant stuff. By the way, yes, he is further back from this lead battle, but fastest lap of the race so far, Nico Menzel. So he's got clean air, he can just focus on himself, and he is actually slightly gaining on this battle. I don't think he'll have enough time to completely catch this battle, unless they do start tripping over each other. Look at that, look to the inside from Heikki. Dan Suzuki, he's under all sorts of pressure. And Matt Malone decided to make his Porsche a rallycross car.
Yeah, I would love to see a version of the 911 that's rallycross. Let's just say that, but unfortunately...
Well, they used to have the Porsche rallycross cars, so you know, never say never.
Yeah, just not a modern version, unfortunately. Maybe that's a hint, hint, nudge, nudge to Porsche if they are watching. But Heikki now still second in line on the way down in towards that turn 10 hairpin. So he's had a little bit of a break from the battling from now, but it's not too soon until they'll start fighting once again here for the race lead. I feel it in my bones, and if they do so again, we might see a repeat of Matt Malone catching all the way back up to them to make it a 3-car fight for the race lead at the end.
No, Connery, what you feel is the cold, damp British air is what you feel in your bones right now for at that time of year. But no, this is tremendous stuff. And look at that, they're both just chatting away. They're in the same room. They're not talking to each other, by the way. They're talking to their stream. And look at this now, slipstream coming into effect. Looking to the outside. Dan Suzuki's forced Heikki to the outside. But we've seen all race, haven't we, how the different lines can work out for you.
Yep, we have. We really have. But right now, there's nothing to separate Suzuki and Heikki. And I don't know which order they're going to come across the line in. I'll be completely honest here. Seems like they're relatively equal in terms of pace. And of course, you have the other mystery that is Matt Malone in 3rd place behind as well, just waiting in the wings, waiting to make an impact just in case he gets the opportunity to. But we are starting to run out of time here in this race. Suzuki, he's looking for the double race win here today. Heikki looking to rob that one away from him after starting P2 in the sprint race. Didn't exactly go well for him. He finished P4. It gave him a good starting position here for the main race though, but still hasn't been able to get up into the race lead. He has to try and get himself past Dan Suzuki in the next minute and a half.
Yeah, we're going to have this and then one more lap. So time running out. Heikki needs to pull something out of the bag. And the thing is, these two, they have been on the ragged edge, both of them here. Tremendous car control from them. But they have been pushing it to the limit all the way through this race. It's been tremendous to watch. And Heikki just catching that curb, that will have affected him with his run down to turn 1. So I think Dan Suzuki can just breathe a little bit easy at the start of this final lap.
That could be the moment that Dan Suzuki has been waiting for. The mistake, the slight mistake there from Heikki to put him a little bit off his line in through those final couple of corners. And well, you can see it's created a gap now between them on the way in towards the first sector. You see Heikki's just driving the wheels off of that thing here at the moment, but still can't gain the ground required. He is getting a little bit closer just visually here, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough before this race is done. Malone similarly not close enough either, but it could potentially still be very close, especially if Suzuki makes an error.
have to wait and see. Oh, it's Heike who got his line wrong. And Matt Malone saying, oh, there's an opportunity here.
Yeah, potentially we might see Matt Malone go for the absolute send into turn 10. Who knows at this point? Anything can happen on a final lap, no matter if it's just Twitch streamers, YouTube streamers, or professional drivers. But we'll see. Now on that run, down in towards turn number 10. Everyone spread out a little bit too far for any moves to happen down into here, I'm afraid, as late on the brakes as they dare. Now up in towards the final sector. Suzuki still leading from Heike, but Heike has gained a lot of time over the last couple of corners or so, but I don't think it's gonna be enough heading into the final couple of corners. We'll just have to wait and see, but for Suzuki, he's gonna head his way through that final chicane. Coming up towards the final corner now, it will be the double race win in the influencer races in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland for Dan Suzuki. He takes the win here in race 2. Heike second place, Matt Malone comes through in 3rd, Nico Menzel all on his own in 4th, Dipixelhelden 5th, and Dave Gaming in that last 6th spot. He got oh so close at the ends there, Paul, but unfortunately a mistake from Heike on the end of the penultimate lap kind of ditched his chances.
Well, it was a mistake at the end of the penultimate lap. It was a little bit of a wide line through the hairpin at turn 5, and even that final chicane, he was getting closer, and again, just not quite panning out for him. He tried his best, but unfortunately, Dan Suzuki was just that much better here today. But they were pushing to the very limit here today.
Yeah, and they all line up next to each other as well. Of course, these guys are all friends, really. Even though they are competitors out there on circuit, they come from the same stable, so to speak. But there's the official race results from race number 2 then. Dan Suzuki, double race winner in the influencer category here today, with Xavier Sanchez in 2nd place. Matt Malone, a podium finish for him in race 2. Nico Menzel, that's a little bit better than his race 1 effort. He's in 4th place, with Dipixelhelden in 5th, with Dave Gaming in 6th, about 15.5 seconds back from the race leader there at the end of 6 laps of race 2. So we're done in terms of the influencer racing. We're not done speaking to them, however, as we'll get ourselves a little bit of a word with Mr. Dan Suzuki. Dan, it seems like I'm speaking to you every single time here at the moment. It's a double race win, helped in no small part by a poor start from basically both members of the front row.
Yeah, it was a very exciting race. I hope it was enjoyable to watch. It was an awesome battle against Heike here, and then Matt coming from the back as well. I'm sweating, but it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoyed it as well. You gave us a good show. It was fantastic side-by-side action with Heike there. I'm certainly not complaining. How was it dealing with all that pressure, though? Just going side-by-side, multiple laps, multiple corners at a time.
It was fun. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, every time like when the spotter was like, yeah, still there, I was like, oh god, please don't touch him. But yeah, it was great, close and fair racing. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, hopefully you'll be able to stick around a little bit, maybe to watch the professional drivers take to the track a little bit later on. Of course, in the old cars, but you know, we had some fantastic racing here in the influencer race. What's up for you next?
I will definitely watch the race. Let's see. I hope Diogo and Max will have a great battle as well for the overall championship, and I will stick around and keep watching and be in chat.
Well, thank you very much, and send some of your viewers our way as well. That would be very helpful.
I will, thank you, Mark.
But there we go. Thank you very much, Dan, and we'll probably see you at some point, sometime in the future, with the way we cross paths so often.
Hope so. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much there, Dan. As we'll get, Paul, we'll soon get ourselves another driver into the commentary booth. Why not? Let's try and get Matt Malone up into the commentary booth. Matt, how are you doing? It seemed like everything was happening in front of you this time here in this event with the battles with Dan Suzuki and Heike. How was it, just sort of being our cameraman?
Oh, it felt like I had the best seat in the house there, watching Heike and Dan go at it, and I got involved on that one time, but I backed out because I didn't want to get side by side too much with Heike, so I know he was pushing to try to get Dan, so I backed out of that, and I wanted to disrupt Dan's race, but I just couldn't find a way. And those guys were super fast. Those guys going 2x2 into corners were as fast as I could all by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic racing from, especially, you know, in the battles you were in, and the guys at the front as well. You know, what was it seemed like your overall plan there at the very front was just kind of wait and let those guys fight it out, and you pick up the positions later on if they have an incident. But unfortunately, it didn't seem to work out that way.
Yeah, no, those guys drove one heck of a race, going side by side quite a bit there. Hecky just didn't have quite enough for Dan to get around him. But yeah, my plan was to just kind of hang back, wait to see what happens, you know, wait for an opportunity and then jump on it. But it never really came, and those guys just had a heck of a race.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we have the professional drivers taking to the track a little bit later on. We've got a little bit of time before that happens. Of course, they're in the old Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, and of course, you're no stranger to being in support races, I suppose, to the professional drivers. Will you give us a little bit of a tune-in in a couple of moments' time, or are you off to do something else?
Yeah, no, I love watching those guys. I mean, I always tell my chat, too, it's like, you watch some of the streamers, you do these races yourself, that's fine and dandy, but these guys, these pros are on a whole nother level, and it's just amazing to watch how close they can race together, how on edge they are all the time, especially with the car, with the Porsche Cup car, new or old. I mean, it's just that fine line you got to ride, and they ride that lightning every race, and it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, it is fantastic, and to have such a close championship battle here at the end as well between Pinto and Beneke is going to be incredibly exciting. But we'll leave you get to it, Matt. Fantastic racing here today, and we'll see you again at some point.
All right, thanks for having me, and good luck to the pros.
Well, there we go. If any of the pros are watching, you have your blessings there from the one, the only Matt Malone there, Paul. And well, again, always positive energy. Looking forward to the professional races. I will get my words out in the right order at some point. We do have to speak to Ray though from Dipixel Helden, and well, Ray, it wasn't an ideal race number 2 for you. Of course, you did start in pole position, but that didn't really last for long, did it?
No, I wish I had a good start, but I released the clutch too early, and I have spun, almost the whole straight, and I was last at the end of the straight, and then I braked too much, and then I spinned in turn 1, and so I was at that moment the last, and the race was nearly over because the race was so short. There was no chance for a comeback story.
Yeah, unfortunately here in this one, but well, at least you didn't finish last, and it was Dave Gaming that ended up finishing in that last place. So I guess you got that going for you, right?
Yeah, it was fun. It's always fun to race with all these people and with this car. I have many to learn in iRacing, and especially for this car in the future, but yeah, it was a very, very fun event, and I hope more come in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we'll get ourselves sorted here in just a couple of moments' time, and well, right, we'll wish you the best of luck in whatever you're doing next, and we'll see you at some point.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Well, there we go, Paul. And well, Paul, we're going to drag Dave Gaming here in a couple of minutes. I do have to sort something out with regards to the professional driver session, but you're going to be standing by with Dave here, hopefully, in a couple of moments.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dave, from Dave Gaming, I mean, what could have been out there, isn't it, for yourself? But yeah, just talk us through the event, because it looked like it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, definitely. First race was great. I had a great fight with Matt, and I tried to push him into a mistake, but he didn't brake under pressure. So yeah, I tried to defend from him in the second race too, but I made a mistake in, I think it's turn 8, and from that point on, second race was not that good, but yeah, I think the first race was great, so that's what I keep in mind then.
Yeah, it was absolutely tremendous to watch that race 1 battle that you had. But I'll tell you, turn number 8 caught out not just yourself today. So don't think that beat yourself up too much, but that was tremendous. But how have you found it today? Because we know you've not been on iRacing a little bit for a while now. How have you found it getting back into an event like this?
It was great. I mean, Matt was one of the guys you mentioned earlier who is more used to iRacing at the moment, and that I can keep up with him, I think shows that the car is very drivable and also feels very good. And yeah, it was great fun. Also the track, I like the track. Barcelona is you need very much technique to master Catalonia, and it was fun.
Absolutely. Well, tremendous race by you out there today, and wish you all the best, and hopefully see you again soon.
Thanks, and good luck for the pros also.
Thank you very much, Dave. Now, I know we do have a chat with one more driver out there that was taking part, and he was our commentary colleague as well, Nico Menzel. And, hopefully we can have a chat with Nico here, because I'm interested to hear what happened out there, because, Nico, you started on the front row of the grid, and then you hit the anti-cut curb when you were cutting across the inside of turn 1.
I think the tires were a bit cold as well, and yeah, I thought actually that I was got hit from behind because that was such a hard hit. But yeah, I guess it was the sausage curb on top, which just sent me off. And it's a shame, because afterwards the pace wasn't too bad, and I always saw the guys, in front driving, and you have some references, and they weren't that fast. Or of course they were fast, but not that much faster. And yeah, probably I could have fought for the podium, but yeah, need to do it next time then.
Absolutely. I mean, just to really massage your ego a little bit there, you were the fastest driver for the majority of this race. You did have the fastest lap for the majority of the race. It was only towards the end that Dan Suzuki actually put in a faster lap, because they were fighting so much out there. But, it's your first time in this type of influencer race here in this series. How was that? Was it fun for you?
Totally, it's big fun. It's a bit different being in a simulator and not in a race car for sure, but the competition is still the same, and I really enjoyed it. So next time I might not spin in both races. So first race I couldn't really do something for it. I think Heike was trying to sneak in before the chicane. Yeah. Don't really know, probably a bit too optimistic, or I didn't see him early enough. And yeah, it's racing, those things happen. And but I'm looking forward really to the next event, hopefully soon, and to fight against the others. That was fun. Good.
And of course, now we look ahead. We've got the pro Simracers going to be taken to the track shortly. I mean, this has just been a nice little aperitif before we get into that main event.
I think so. I guess that was the idea, to bring on a bit a show factor before we will see the pros racing. And I really have to say, I mean, for me, even as a pro driver in reality, it's unbelievable to see those guys racing in sim. It's every single lap they turn on the same spot. They're using the track for the last millimeter really, and that's amazing to see how they can do it, and throughout the race, yeah, and such a high consistency. And you're really looking forward to the final. I think it's going to be a tight one, and Pinto has it still in his own hands. If he wins both races, you're going to win the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do look forward to that. And whilst we're waiting for Connery to attend to the situation which is happening behind the scenes, but he'll get that sorted and back up and running very shortly. Let's have a look at all the way through this season. Then this Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. 7 rounds of the championship we've had leading up to this one. And it's been tremendously close between Benneker and Pinto. It's absolutely incredible how they've kept so close all the way through this championship.
Exactly. I mean, we saw at Red Bull Ring a very close fight, even with a touch. And in the end of the day, Pinto went off. And yeah, but you have to be consistent throughout the whole season, and that's what we saw. We saw those two guys fighting for the whole season, and that's something really great to see. Same in F1 right now, to be honest, with Max and Lewis, and it's always great to see two guys fighting instead of having one guy being at the front alone. So still all open for the final. That's what the guys on the television, we as spectators, wants to see, and the tension is still there.
Yeah, we've got the easy part, haven't we? We just get to talk about it. It's those drivers who have to go out there and race it. Now, somebody who has been making a bit of a comeback through this series after having an awful time at the start of the season was David Williams. It's a long shot for him to get third place here in this championship, but he's said that he's determined to just try his best to get that third place, because of course that's the last of the prize money paying places.
The podium is always something great. You're always pushing for the podium, for the top three. And as you said, you can earn some money today, and that's an even bigger motivation for you as a driver, of course. So first, it's a sportive thing to win a championship or to become third, which is always great. But on the other hand, if you can earn some money, and probably that's the goal of most of the guys, driving sim, driving race cars, and earning money with it, and transferring the hobby into the job. And if you get to that point, for sure, you're going to invest everything you have. And also, we're gonna see a tight fight for P3 in the championship then.
Yeah, I mean, never say never in the world of motorsport. If is the biggest word in the world of motorsport. If this happens or if it doesn't happen. But David will certainly be giving it a heck of a run out there. And Connery, I do believe we can hand it back over to yourself there, but I'm sort of stolen your seat here, I suppose, really taking over the broadcast. But we're both looking forward to this, Connery, both myself and Nico, and I suppose you are as well.
Yeah, I certainly am as well. Drivers just about getting in the server now and getting their preparations done for what is, for some of them, a very, very big race. Of course, we have that main battle between Max Bernecker and Pinto for the championship lead, but there's also that slight battle between Dan Beat and Williams for third as well that we do have to pay attention to. It looks pretty secure for Dan Beat at this stage, but the points still mathematically could work out in David Williams' favour. So certainly watch out for that one. But of course, we do have a couple of announcements to do. We did advertise at the very start of the season that for the drivers that were able to compete in all 7 time attack sessions, no matter how well you did in those time attack sessions, you will be eligible for a prize at the end of the season. And of course, we can actually announce those prizes now. So the 10 winners that we have from the raffle are David Williams, Marcel Fritsch, Ricardo Ferreira, Ian Morak, got Daniel Muth, Christopher Dambeats, Adam Volkovich, Tim Bielica, Diego Pinto, and Gal Valero. Those 10 drivers will get themselves a gift of a decent amount of iRacing credits courtesy of Porsche. So congratulations to those guys. You got yourself very lucky.
Certainly have, but you got to be in it to win it, haven't you, really? That's the aim of the game. And maybe those that didn't quite finish in the top 3 of this championship will have a little bit of a consolation with that raffle there.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, thank you very much to everyone who has competed in any of the time attack qualifying sessions so far. We didn't have one for this final round, considering we could only invite the top 32 and maybe a little bit more in terms of points in the championship. But it's great to see all the support out there. Thank you very much to all of the viewers from all of our influencer drivers as well, joining in the stream just as we start to get slowly towards that main event, of course. And do we have any predictions for the finale, Paul? Because I'll leave mine until last. I don't know if that's a cop-out or not, but do you have anything to say before we get in there?
I think with just the slight advantage that he has coming into this final round, Max Bernecker has got one hand on the trophy. I think it's going to be tough for him. It's not going to be easy out there, but I just feel that he's got that one hand on the trophy. And he can just get those good results. As long as he beats Pinto in one of those races, then he's sewn that one up.
Yeah, absolutely. So Well, Nico, have you got any opinions here on this one? Of course, you've only joined us for a handful of races so far this season, but I bet you've kept up to date with all of them. Which way do you think it's going to go between Diogo and Max?
No, but in the end of the day, I think Max is in the best position, of course, and yeah, it's the pressure is definitely on Diogo's side. So I think my favorite for winning a championship definitely is Max, but you never know. So let's wait. There is still everything possible, even a DNF or something, a crash. A lot of possibilities which can happen. So yeah, really looking forward to the races.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm certainly looking forward to it as well. My opinion, I get the feeling that Max is probably the driver that's in the best seat coming into this one at this point. He's been no stranger to Barcelona, Catalonia. He's gotten himself a handful of good results here before in the actual Super Cup. So this track shouldn't be too big of an issue for him. It's I think it's more in Diogo Pinto's court here at the moment. We'll see how qualifying goes, of course, but I get the feeling that Max has the upper hand, at least from this perspective right now. But I think this perspective will change multiple times throughout the race, Paul.
Well, don't forget that Max Benecke, in quite a disastrous 2020 campaign in the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup, he came to this track and got the double. He got race winning in the sprint race and in the feature race, which, of course, in that series has reverse grids. This series, we don't have that. He will feel very confident in this car around this track here today.
Yep, he absolutely will. And, well, it just makes the entire situation just so interesting how close those two drivers have been over the course of this season. It comes down to this single race here, Nico. Just one race to decide it. Usually we have a pretty clear picture coming into the final round of who has the best chance to win in the championship. Of course, you can see based off of the 9-point advantage that Benecke has. Like I said, he's in the best seat at the moment, but this is certainly not a guarantee. If Diogo Pinto wins both races and Benecke comes second, that's Pinto winning by 1 point.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It's still in his own hands, and that's the important thing for a racing driver. He gets into the weekend and he can still manage himself, and that's something very, very important, because otherwise you always have to play with other guys, hope for other guys being better, and and probably being in front of Max Benecke and taking some points off his. Yeah, you know, in the end of the day, many things can happen, as I said, but I definitely think Max is the guy in the best position. So, yeah, let's see what Diogo is going to do. I think he also tried to maximize his training as he got to know the track on Friday. So almost 48 hours to train and to practice should be enough for those pros to get into the rhythm. And I think Barcelona, Catalonia, it's a very well-known track, so should be good for everyone.
Yeah, should be incredible. But we've got a whole lot of anticipation around this one, and well, you know, we do talk about Pinto and Benecke as being the main features in this one. We've got Williams and Dambeat in their everlasting scrap for P3. We've got a couple of other drivers further down the order that, while they might not be competing for prize money today, they're still here, still wanting to race, still making up the numbers here in this one, and we very, very much appreciate it from everyone up and down the field that has made themselves, got themselves into the race here today. A couple of drivers at short notice as well, so we very, very much appreciate that. And, well, we'll see how it goes here in this one, because Barcelona, Catalonia can be a very tricky track at the best of times, Paul, especially considering at the end of the races you have to deal with the tyre deck.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be one of the key things as we look at the track map here. You've got that long start and finish straight then down towards turn 1 and 2. Slipstream, you've got to be quite close to the car in front to get any sort of slipstream from them. Then you've got that long sweeping right-hander at turn 3, and then turn 4, that long hairpin. Those types of corners really punish that front left tyre on this car. Into the hairpin at turn 5, that's where we can have incidents at the start of the race. So if there's any sort of checkup and any sort of incident going to happen, keep an eye on that particular corner. Through 6, which is a nothing corner, into 7 and 8, the sweeping chicane up the hill. Quite a tricky corner to get get right consistently. Turn 9, up over the crest. Again, down that back straight. It's not the longest straight, so you need a good run out of 9 if you're going to make any moves down into the braking zone of 10. 11 and 12 then. 12, that long sweeping right-hander into then 13, the tight, twisty section. 13, 14, and 15, the chicane at the end of the lap, and then that sweeping right-hander at the end of the lap to take you across the line again. It is a challenge. It's a technical circuit. It's one that you may see the drivers at the front just maybe looking after their tyres a little bit so that they can then push on towards the end of the race.
Well, that's the recap of where we're racing here today, but we have to hear it from the drivers, what their thoughts are heading into the final round of the season. We have our pre-recorded interviews with 4 drivers. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I would say my season has shown potential many times this year, but unfortunately it's not really materialized the way I'd wanted it to be. Lots of things have gone wrong at various times, even though the pace has been there and I have had pretty solid results. I've not had a win, which is kind of annoying. So even if I don't get, my goal really is to get 3rd in the championship, but that's looking pretty difficult right now. I think I'm 50 points behind Chris in that battle. So I realize that's a bit of a long shot, but it would be nice to at least win a race in the final round. 2 chances every round, of course. But still, it's been good, to be honest. It's been good to be up there with the likes of Beneker and the Red Line guys. So yeah, going forwards, despite the struggle with that 3rd place in the championship, it's been good fun, and I think confidence-wise, it has given me a boost for future championships too. I'll be honest with you, I very much like that, especially given that like some of the others, I'm having to do the contender series. I think it's actually just Gianni who's also doing that with me. That's the day before the finale on Sunday. So yeah, that means essentially that I don't need to worry, at least until tomorrow, when we do find out. At least I believe that's how it's going to work, what the track will be. I like that, to be honest. It mixes things up, and it means that the others don't have as much of an advantage over me, with the situation that I'm in. Not really, to be honest. I've got an inkling that maybe it'll be the Hungaroring, simply because that's a new track this season. Although, to be honest, that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing for me, because I've only driven that track really once, and that was in the 992. So I've not done any laps there in the 991, but it was still a really fun track, but who knows? Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like in terms of my weaknesses, it's fairly clear that qualifying is not my strength usually. So when I do manage to qualify up front, it's more of a surprise than something that I expect. Strength-wise, I guess because of that lack of qualifying talent or raw ability that some others have, it means I've had to work more on my racecraft and getting my elbows out when necessary, but also managing myself and being patient. I've been in sim racing for a long time, so I like to think that I'm more of a measured driver than some of my peers, and you've probably seen that in multiple races this season where there have been various battles and what have you in front of me, and I've just tried to sort of sit back within range to capitalize, and that has happened once or twice. So yeah, that would definitely be my strength. I mean, it's not been a particular advantage for this series because the others have been very, very busy with other competitions and platforms. So I've sort of had to fend for myself in this series, and we are up against our rival Team Redline. So I've sort of had to carry the Coanda flag for us there. But you know, I've learned a hell of a lot over the last nearly 2 years in the Coanda team house with the likes of Josh, Mitchell, Mac, Tommy, etc. So yeah, and also it's been really good fun, to be honest, just hanging out with these guys. Fortunately, we do have a big enough place that we can have our own space, but also, you know, just to, you know, the competition between us and the ability to just literally walk up to another person's rig and annoy them with some questions or just study what they're doing is very cool, I must say. Well, I mean, everyone's just driven a really fantastic championship, so let's hope that continues, and yeah, may the best man win. I know it's a big fight for the number one position in the championship with Pinto and Benica. A little bit of a long shot for me, and in terms of getting Chris, but yeah, may the best drivers win.
Yeah, the beginning was quite eventful. With the first race, I think I ended up in the top 5 or 7. Yeah, overall I just had one minor bad result in Imola. Yeah, that was maybe the only race that didn't work out quite well, but towards the middle and the end of the season now, I could yeah, turn it a bit around and get some podium results and good top 5 results that brought me in the position to be P3 in the championship at the moment. Yeah, I'm excited about that because yeah, we all have to get used to it quite quick to the track, and I hope yeah, the combination will fit to me. So yeah, anyway, I try my best with the short amount of practice, and yeah, looking forward to another podium finish to secure my P3 in the championship. That will be the best case. Or like, I got some ideas which track it could be, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Hungaroring and maybe Barcelona. This could be maybe one of the tracks. Yeah, with those tracks I would be fine. Yeah, I just hope it's not Le Mans with the big slipstream battles and so on. Like, this is always a bit messy stuff there, but yeah, at the end of the day, we need to get used to every combination that will come up to us. I think I have like a quite relaxed mood in the race. I can sit for a few laps like behind 2 or 3 cars and then make decisions towards the end when it's gonna be a bit yeah, interesting about the result itself. And yeah, like battling is, yeah, most of the time going well in this series, so I'm also looking forward to that. And yeah, I hope that my contender for the P3 in the championship is also yeah, maybe having not a good day. Like, I think it's the thing that we can push ourselves better together. Yeah, already in practice and so on, we can yeah, try to be ahead of everyone, and this, yeah, just gives you the limit of the track and car combination for the track, and you can just, find always another tenth or you try to find it to be in front of the teammate. So yeah, I think this is one thing that we can turn around for the real race, that we are always in front, that we can push ourselves to the limit. Yeah, I hope so. Like, if I'm not having any shunts or incidents in the race, I'm looking forward to secure the position. Yeah, obviously it was kinda lucky for me to have such a big gap now to David, because he had one disconnect in the Nürburgring race, I think. Yeah, so I just try my best to get as many points as possible, and hope that at the end of the day it will be enough for P3. I would say that so far the whole season was, from everyone, managed quite well. We had like very fair battles, like not messy stuff going up, and yeah, it was overall a very nice event with all of these guys, and it was also interesting with the qualifying mode, that we had to qualify ourselves for the grid. So we had sometimes a lot of new names in the front, in the middle of the grid. So yeah, this is always something special to have different people in different races. So yeah, that was very special and enjoyable with the series.
It's been quite a decent season. It didn't start very well at Spa. It's a little mistake which cost me some points, but it's been quite a difficult season because me and Max have been quite evenly matched. So it usually means we have to decide it on track, and yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in the end. At least from my perspective, in the last 2 races or so, I haven't put a lot of hours in, so it won't matter for me too much. And I think for Max as well, 48 hours, it's enough for both of us to be up to pace. So I think, like I said, we'll have to decide on track, and you'll be the one who does the least mistakes and has ultimately the best raw pace will win. I'd say I'm quite an aggressive driver, and it's something that sometimes can be really helpful, but in other cases can really be frustrating, because in terms of the pace, it's always, well, depends on the track and car, but it's always helpful to be aggressive and to get the most out of the car. But when you're fighting for position, sometimes it's useful to just think twice and stay back and think on long term. And I would say there were a few occasions where that hindered me a little bit, but overall I think it's my aggression and my ability to adapt over the races. Well, in the course of the season, I think Max has been the slightly faster driver, and it's always been me who has to be aggressive on track and make the moves. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm the one who has the most wins, but he has by far the most poles. And let's see, I think it'll be extremely close. I'll have to win both races well, I don't have to win both races, but if he wins, if he stays right behind me, I have to win. So that's my goal for the last race, and it'll be hard because he's always extremely fast, and I'll have to be at the top of my game to beat him. Well, I'd say overall, not really anything has changed. As you know, it's me against him pretty much, so we both work in our own ways and we'll see who comes out on top. But my approach, of course, me being quite an aggressive driver, Max is also quite aggressive on track, fighting for position. We have to take care. Last round it was a bit tricky for both of us, but I think coming on to the last round we'll keep it together. Well, what can I say? I don't think that there's anything I can say to my competitors. It's from my position, it's me and Max who's fighting for the top, and I think for third it's Chris and Dave. And yeah, that's the positions there'll be the most focus on, and hopefully everyone is respectful and we'll have a good race.
Well, so far I think my season has been very good. I mean, I'm still leading the championship before the final race, and apart from Hockenheim, I think I've had pole position in all of the races, which is very good for me because usually I struggle a bit more in quali than in the race. So apart from that, I'm very happy, and obviously a couple of wins, and especially happy about the double victory at the Nürburgring, because that was kind of a decider already in which direction the championship is going to go. So yeah, particularly happy about that double win there. I actually like the way we will know the track just 48 hours before the actual race start. I think practice in general should be limited. Obviously that's kind of hard to do in sim racing, but if there's a chance of not giving away the track too early, then I actually like that, and I like to be unlimited practice because that's again another kind of competition. Obviously everybody is quite talented, so everybody knows exactly what he's doing, but still I like the fact, so I'm looking forward to know the track only 48 hours before. There's not any track I particularly hope for. I just hope that it's not a bad track, something like super bumpy like Zolder, or anything which is more random than really about pace and about fighting and battling it out on track. So I hope for something that's also run in the real Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, something like, I don't know, we had Silverstone already, I was about to say Silverstone, but yeah, like Hungaroring, Barcelona, these kind of tracks, that would I think be a good final race. That's a tough question actually, because everybody has his talent somewhere, but I would say I'm very good when it comes down to strategy of how to defend, how to overtake, preparing moves. I think that's why I'm quite good at. What I've been missing in the last, I would say, year is just my qualifying pace, just being there for exactly this one lap. It's still been strong, as I've said earlier. I've had pole position most of the races, but still that's where I want to improve. But I think where I have the edge over many other drivers in the series is just about during the race, going for the right moves, defending the right way, and making sure that at the end of the race I'm in front of my opponent. I think what gives me the edge before the final race is that I'm in the points lead. I have 9 points in advantage of me, so he has to close that gap. I can basically maintain my position somehow. Obviously he can't have a double victory while I'm in second place, or better to say he can't even have a double win at all, but I'm in the better position here because I can just maintain my points lead and then see what comes out in the end, and he has to make the moves, so I can be quite conservative and then only do something if I really need to. Yeah, obviously this championship would mean a lot to me. We're driving the Porsche Cup. It's been a car that has not suited me very well in the last 2 or 3 years. I've always been struggling with the car. for different reasons, especially for the tires and for the short race time we have. I quite enjoy it more if the race is a bit longer. But overall, yeah, of course, that victory would mean a lot to me, and I hope that I can do it. And obviously there's been a lot of work going into that car, and I'm trying to improve my pace there. So yeah, just looking forward to the last race and hope I can do it, and obviously it would mean a lot to me. Honestly, I don't want to talk a lot before the race about the race, especially not with the competitors on track. We will just see what's going on in the race later, and afterwards we can talk about it. But I don't like to talk about it beforehand and then just have the exact opposite coming out at the end. So I'm just looking forward to the race and hope that it's in my favor, and afterwards we can talk about it.
Everyone, and welcome back to the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. It's finale day here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Two drivers fighting it out for the championship, Max Benecke and Diogo Pinto. My name is Connery Maddock. I'm joined by the wonderful Mr. Paul Smith and of course our guest commentator Nico Menzel as well. Drivers are just about getting themselves out there for their qualifying efforts, and what an important qualifying it is right now, Paul.
Yeah, this is really where you set your marker out now, and if you're Max Benecke, you want to get that pole position, give yourself as easy a time as possible to try and get your hands on that trophy. But Pinto, he has been somebody who has matched him when it's come to race pace, so don't write him out of this at all.
Certainly don't write him out. And of course, Nico, we have you in here as well to give your expertise as a real world driver that's familiar with these cars as well, and familiar with this level of competition. You know, how nervous must these guys be feeling right now?
Nervous, yes, but at the same time, you're probably a bit more concentrated than you normally are. When it's going to decide for the championship, the last few races, you're always 110% there, and not only 100 or 105. So that's what I experienced in my career so far. That you're fully focused on everything you're practiced, and I think that's what they are going through right now as well.
Yeah, is Maximilian Benecke's first flying lap then, as there's Diogo Pinto as well. He's on his first flying lap. Why don't you take us through the rest of this one, Paul?
Yeah, so Pinto then, we've seen all the way through this. You can let the car run out wide through 3, into 4, throw it in there, rotate the car nicely on the throttle as well, out of 4, get it up to the right hand side, brake, downhill braking, easy to lock up your brakes here into the turn 5 hairpin, nice and early, use the runoff there, you can use that, that's for sure. Through 6 into 7 then, uphill, the car just suddenly wants to squirrel away, use the curving on the right through 8. Turn 9, you can't always see your exit round here, so you've got to be patient with the throttle, see the exit, nail it, be careful not to run onto the gravel trap on the exit. Down to turn number 10 then, braking hard on the right hand side, down to second gear. You use second just to mitigate any wheel spin. Through 11 into 12, long corner, you've got to be patient with the throttle. Now pick up the throttle, again, straddling the curb on the left hand side. 13, it's a tricky corner, it's a little bit off camber, and then 14 and 15, the chicane. Important to get the run out of this part here to carry the speed then through the final corner, and you'll hear them just slightly feathering the throttle through that final corner in this 991. And well, there's the lap time set by Pinto, 45.6.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Benecke is still, well, he banded his first lap. He's just getting himself prepared for another lap. As we see those lap times slowly but surely trickle their way in. Danella in second place at the moment. That's a great lap time from the driver in the 96. Ferreira in third place for now. But this First lap was abandoned by Maximilian Benneker, so he got back out there, got himself prepared tyres up to temperatures and pressures, and now he's going to chase here for his second of 3 flying laps. Nico.
Pinto has done his job already, putting a good lap time, and now it's on Benneker's, or the pressure is on him, putting a lap time and to not cross the track limits at one point. So probably my suggestion would be to go for one clean lap, and if that clean lap was okay for probably P2 or something, then go for a banger lap and put the car on pole, or try to put it on pole.
Yeah, that's the mark for Maximilian Benneker. He knows now Pinto's done a 1:45.672. Of course, Pinto can indeed improve his lap time by the time this session is done. But missing that first banker lap here for Maximilian Benneker, is that going to be an issue? Hopefully he's able to keep it within the bounds of the track. Remember, if you do get yourself a 1 incident for going off track, if you tap the wall or spin around, that's going to be your lap invalidated here. You've got to have a very clean qualifying lap here for it to count. Otherwise it just goes to waste. But Benneker into that turn 10 hairpin. Very careful with the track limits on the outside there. Now winding it through the long right-hander towards the very end of the lap then. This is turn number 12. Get that car as close as you dare to the gravel. Make sure you stay there as well to give you the best entry to turn 13, and then you can get yourself slowed down even more for this very, very sluggishly slow section of the final chicane. Benneker again trying to push the track limits as far as he dares. Now he's looking to come across the line. Danby's actually setting a pretty fast time. He goes provisional pole position. What's Benneker's time? It is good enough for provisional pole position. It's a 1:45.225. Does Pinto have anything to respond to that on his final lap?
And it's incredible that Benneker was able to set that lap time when he had damage to the front of his car. He'd clattered the curbs that much that he'd damaged the front of his car. It would have affected him maybe 1-2 kilometers an hour down the straight. So tremendous lap from Benneker. And now the pressure has been swung back round to Pinto here. Now he's the one feeling the pressure here.
Yep,
Danby and Williams. Yeah, Danby and Williams, they just improved their times. They're on 2nd and 3rd place now. So now the pressure is even more on Pinto. I mean, starting from P4, that would be very, very difficult to win the race from that place onwards on the grid. So yeah, let's wait. I think he's in a good lap.
If he's not first, he needs to be second. That's all I'm going to say here for Diogo Pinto, as he's going to turn into turn 10 for the final time in his qualifying effort here. This is his last flying lap. A little bit of smoke from the front left as he locks that up into there. Hopefully he hasn't lost too much time as a result, and he's able to put one on the board, and hopefully, for him at least, put it on the front row right next to his championship competitor. Just a handful of corners to go now, winding things down into that final chicane. Gotta clip these curves so neatly. You can't afford for the car to get upset coming through here. You will lose a bunch of time. Now you have to nail it all the way through the final corner. Drive to the line. It's a 1:45.225 for Beats. That's pole position. It's a 1:45.332 for Pinto. It's not quite enough. It's second place, not first.
And I can tell you exactly where he lost that time. The middle sector. First sector and third sector, he was purple. He was the fastest driver on the track over those 2 sectors, but it's that middle sector where Pinto lost out that time. David Williams, don't write him out of this one either.
So here he comes, coming towards to complete his lap here. 1:45.638 is his best. That is not a valid time, though. He must have gotten an instant point at some point over the course of that lap, so that's not a valid lap there from David Williams. I'm looking to see if anyone else is out there yet to complete their qualifying. Gal Valero has yet to do all 3 allotted laps. Ricardo Ferreira has also yet to do all 3 allotted laps. Till Bem, unfortunately, one of the guest drivers hits there, I suppose, that we're outside of the top 32. He was not able to get any of his qualifying laps done, so that's why he's starting at the very back at the starting grid here today. But for everyone else, looks like they're relatively done at this point here, Paul.
Certainly does. And well, what they're doing now is they're taking advantage of the last minutes of the session to get that final practice of their starts all the drivers will be doing this because it's so crucial is to get that clean start and get pulled away. And it's so easy to just burn out your clutch and just be sat there with a lot of smoke coming off of your rear tyres and you not going anywhere fast.
Yeah, so it looks like as this session winds itself down to a close here, Nico Menzel on pole position. That's exactly what he needed to do, but Pinto did basically the second best of what he needed to do there. He's on his front row, so front row consisting of both of our championship contenders, Nico. It can't get any better than that.
Absolutely. And the way from the grid, from the traffic light, from the lights to turn 1 is quite, yeah, it's quite, let's say, more than half of the straight. So quite a long distance, and I'm sure they're gonna, or Pinto will try to be in the slipstream and try to catch him immediately in turn 1. But it generally is a track where you can overtake, but in the end of the day, also tire management will be very, very important. So nothing is decided yet.
Here's the starting grid then for the first race. We get 2 30-minute races here in this series, both divvy out the same amount of points. But Maximilian Benecke, pole position from Diogo Pinto in P2. Those are your 2 championship contenders. Dan Beaton Williams, that's the bout for P3, lining up 3 and 4 as well. So that's how close they are too. Alexander Tiber in P5 with Nicholas Laubisch starting in P6 here today for that Urano Esports team. It's another Urano Esports car in P7 with Dylan Scrivens. Ricardo Ferreira in P8 today with Lucas Lippert, P9. Gal Valero in P10. Looked at Nicholas Denela in P11 with Dominic Weber starting in 12th place today. Simon Amoso and Lucas Lang bring things down to P14. Daniel Moof and Dennis Neidhart cycled things down to P16. Pedro Rodrigueira and Adam Volkovits down to P18. And then, of course, the rest of the cars, Igor Kos and Tim Bielacker rounding out the top 10. And we, of course, will have Till Bem as our 21st driver. He doesn't show up on the starting grid because he didn't set himself a qualifying time. So he'll be right at the very back there. So drivers getting themselves ready then, ready for the action here in the final round of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us over the course of this season. And, well, especially if you're here for the final round as well. We're certainly excited and ready to go. And the drivers will be in just a couple of moments' time as well. Just very quick few words, Paul.
It's that launch. It's all about the launch here for the start. Now, Max Benecke, if you think back to Hockenheim, he had a terrible start. So he has had it happen in the past here in the series. He needs to get a good launch to try and hold on to the lead here.
Race 1 about to get itself underway for our final event of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland for 2021. It's those front 2 cars fighting it out for the championship here at Barcelona, Catalonia. It's a poor start. It's a horrible start from Diogo Pinto. It's an absolute nightmare. He gets swallowed up by the field. This is exactly what Maximilian Benecke needed. He leads on the way down in towards turn number 1. David Williams is able to go from 4th to 2nd here in the early stages of the event as they tiptoe their way through the first S's section for the first time. Remember, they got cold tyres at the moment, so it can be tricky to handle, but that was a nightmare, absolute nightmare for Diogo.
I said it was crucial to get the launch, and unfortunately it was Pinto, the man in 2nd place in the championship, who finds himself down in 12th place in amongst this scrap that's happening in the mid-pack. And we've seen previously how difficult it is to overtake around this track. Well, Pinto, he's going to have the race of his life here to have any hope of challenging Benecke.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little bit of side-by-side action going on between Lippert and Weber down at the bottom end of the top 10. They almost made contact, in fact, as you see the tail end of the field. Cycle their way through, and in fact there has been an incident. Lucas Lippert out into the gravel and into the barriers at the very back of shot there. I think there was a bit of contact with Weber there, Nico.
A lot of action in the field, but I think the main thing is probably it's, oh, there was another touch.
Diogo.
Yeah, Diego had another touch, and now he's going to spin. That's the end. That's the end. That's the final championship deciding situation, probably. So now he needs to hope Max Benecke gets an issue, and he gets spun around as well, has a DNF or something, but he can't do it from his by his own. Yeah.
He's got damage. He's retiring the car. That's it. That's his race and championship done.
Ooh.
We were hoping it was going to last a bit longer than 2 minutes of the 60 we have total to run. But wow.
But wait guys. First Benik has to finish. He should take it easy now, huh? Because Williams behind and he still needs to push, and he would obviously like to celebrate a win here. Not sure if you're risking everything, but Benik should really take care now, knowing that Pinto is out of that race. Just let him by, and then he should be protected by his teammates anyways.
I'm in a little bit of a state of shock here, Paul. I'm not sure what to make of that. Of course, we had the incident towards the very back there, and then down into this hairpin here. Diogo, look how desperate he is to gain positions. He's just sending it on multiple drivers, and that was always going to happen. The number 96 completely unsighted there. Diogo trying to dive it in from a couple of cars back, and the subsequent contact as well, not exactly ideal, and someone else getting caught up in the back of that one as well. That's what desperation causes sometimes, Paul. Diogo needed those positions and quickly to have any chance, but sometimes it's just so risky.
I mean, that was always asking for trouble, was that move into turn 10 anyway, and I think the stewards would have had a dim view on the contact that was made, just with the way that he went absolutely barreling into that corner. But that's the problem. You get a bad start in this car and you are swallowed up. You said it absolutely spot on, Connery. He was swallowed up by the rest of the field. And it is such a brutal fight in that mid-pack on lap 1. And here we go. Here's the start then. You can hear the revs. There's the revs. Wait for it. Drop. And it's just nothing but wheel spin. And he tries to get away, still getting wheel spin in second gear. Goes through the gears, and look at all those cars. It's like going backwards through a Porsche dealership right there.
Unbelievable.
The thing is, if you're Pinto here, that was probably the most pressure-filled race starts that you could imagine, apart from going into race 2 if he was able to win this race. You can understand the mistake, you can understand the error. He just didn't quite get it right. Remember, in this car, you do have the clutch modeled a lot more accurately than it is on some other cars on the service, so you can't get a reliable biting point out of the clutch a lot of the time. So it's there's an element of maybe overheating the clutch or something that just didn't quite get the bite down in the right place. Maybe he floored it a little bit too much out of nervousness, just put too much throttle input in. Nico, there's a lot of things that can go wrong on the start.
Yeah, start is obviously the most important situation in a race, firstly, and you know, as a driver, it's very bitter if you crack under pressure, and you know, you prepare yourself for those kind of events, and yeah, then he was just upset, brake too late, got contact first here in turn 10, which is still the old version, and yeah, then he got spun around. It is what it is.
But here's the thing, though, and this is what I think will happen from this. He'll look back at this event. This is the first time we've seen him in a top line championship, battling for a championship. He will learn from this, and he will learn, right, what do I do, what don't I do, how do I prepare myself, how do I deal with the pressure of being involved in a top battle. And that, he needs to take that away from this event. It'll be disappointing, and he'll be kicking himself over this, but he needs to take it and learn from this.
This will be his worst result since the second race of Spa. That's our first event of the season. Ever since then, he's either come second place or he's won, with the exception of the third place at the Red Bull Ring. So...
And he's always been cool, and using the mistakes of other guys, and he has always been consistent, and that was really the first big, huge mistake, I'd say, done by his own. Okay, if there is contact with another driver, for example, as we saw on Red Bull Ring or before, it's what it is, but you know, just being bad at the start, that's your own fault, and there is no one else involved. And as you said, Paul, the most important thing is to learn from it and to do it better next time. That's the most important thing as a sportler, as a racing driver as well. You know, to learn out of every single situation, even though this evening will be very disappointing for him for sure.
We're riding on board with Christopher Dambeats at the moment, who has his own little fight to be concerned about. David Williams, but he can finish behind David Williams by 1 car all day long and still secure 3rd place in the championship. So this isn't a big issue for him, but knowing racing drivers, they want to fight for the higher position regardless. You're starting to see Beneke pull away now at the very front of the field. He's got a 1.1 second gap back to David Williams there, and Dan Beats, well, sitting in line for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if soon he decides to try and make his way forward and make something out of this, well, podium position currently could be 1 step higher.
It could, but when you're involved in a championship battle where you're pretty much secure in 3rd place and just need to score the points to secure it, you just play the percentages and you do sit behind your championship rival because you know that that's all you need to do. Igor Kos that we're on board with, he's one of your drivers who does actually use the VR headset and uses that, and that can have some advantages for some drivers. Some prefer it over the triple monitors, whereas a lot of the top drivers do actually prefer the triple monitor setup. So it's whatever you find more comfortable. But Igor up 5 positions from the start, so taking advantage of the shenanigans that happen.
Yeah, you simply have to. Especially if you're one of those drivers that start more towards the back of the grid. Keeping your nose clean is probably the best way to try and gain positions in the race. But now you're getting to the stage where the mistakes are going to be a little bit less common. The opening couple of laps of carnage has dissipated out a little bit. Though saying that, what's happened to Ricardo Ferreira? He's dropping down the order, down into P15 now, dropping even further back.
I think that's just a little bit of a connection issue for him there, I would think. Because he has just suddenly popped back up into 7th place.
Whoa!
So, and there's contact.
Yeah, right in front of Igor Kos there. Car spun around. We'll get to see a little look back at exactly who was involved in that one, but not pretty. Heading their way down into the chicane there. It was Adam Volkovich getting spun there by Kos into the final couple of corners. Here's the replay of it, Nico.
Yeah, I think he's just been late on the brakes. Let's have a look. I mean, coming into that section, you always need to be careful. You overdrive the car very, very easily, and now he's trying to have a go on the inside, but there is no way overtaking a guy. I mean, I experienced it myself as Heikki was trying to overtake me on that spot, but you never ever expect a car, trying to overtake you on that spot. Usually it's not possible, and well, I'd say it's cost. It's probably Igor's mistake, but no, that's racing.
Of course, we do have live stewards here in this one, which is not always a guarantee in some sim racing leagues. So they will be able to go back and have a look at that one and then assess a penalty if necessary. We've had a couple of, we've had a warning and a penalty come through already. It's a warning to the 222 for blocking on lap 1, turn 9. Then there's another instant lap 1, turn 9. There's the number 15 has gotten themselves a 5-second post-race penalty for contact, and that was Dominic Weber into that section. So that was through turn 9. So that was the right-hand kink before you get to the hairpin, Paul.
Yeah, it was the one where we saw Lippert going flying off into the gravel trap when we were focusing on Pinto on lap 1. And that's where he had that incident. There's also a penalty for the number 96, Nicholas Denela, as well. 3-second penalty for an unfair overtake. So obviously has moved somebody out the way and not given the position back.
Yeah, and well, we've got another penalty coming through, and unfortunately it's not what Diogo Pinto would have wanted to hear. He's retired from the race, so I don't think a 3-second post-race penalty will matter all that much. But yeah, penalty for the 121 Diogo Pinto for contact, and there he is. There's the beaten up Porsche of Diogo Pinto with his famous green wheels with the new Team Redline, Porsche 24 by Team Redline livery. That's not how he would have wanted to have ended race number 1. It's heartbreaking more than anything else, Nico.
Yeah, he won't sleep well tonight, that's for sure. But you know, there are successful days and there are very disappointing days as a racing driver, and yeah. head down for the next races, and then you maximize your talent, and you're gonna learn from it, and that's the most important thing. But he can be disappointed for today, for tomorrow as well, and I'm sure next week, latest on Monday, Tuesday, he will be back on it and trying to do his best to develop himself as a driver. That's life.
Unfortunately, he is, Paul, and well, he will make an appearance, hopefully, for the second race, if he hasn't called it quits already. I do see him still connected to the session, so he will be making an appearance there. But yeah, you know, we were expecting this titanic battle all throughout both the races here today, but unfortunately, those things do happen. But we've still got racing out there right now, though, because Williams and Dambeats are keeping each other honest here on the way in towards turn number 1. Dambeats just sitting in the slipstream for the moment. The move in towards turn number 1 will be covered off here by David Williams, as Dambeats looking to the outside, but no commitment into there just yet. Bernecker is pulling the gap on both of them in the race lead here, Paul. So it looks like it's just going to be a scrap between these two at the midpoint of race number 1.
And pretty much all the way through this season, these two, well, especially the second half of the season, these two have been almost glued together at the hip, is how they've been out there. And it's great to see that they're battling for position in the championship, but they also want to get that second step on the podium here in this first race, because it'll get you the front row on the grid for the second race here today. And I just want to touch on just a final thought on Pinto. There was a famous quote by Vince Lombardi where he said, "It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up." And that's what Diogo needs to do. And the best way to do that is to get involved in that second race and just have a bit of fun out there and get that out of your system, because there's nothing worse for a driver than to basically have to wait the entirety of a winter before the next chance at the championship again. He can put a little bit of it right here in the second race.
Yeah, Nico, I was just going to talk about, he's still finishing second place in the championship, though. No matter what happens here today, he's clear in terms of points back to Dambeats and Williams. So he's still got 8,000 euros in his pocket for his efforts over the course of this season. Of course, it would have been nice to have the 12. But we can't all have what we want in life, let's just say that. But we're on board with Dambeats as he tries to track down Williams.
I think Dambeats has the ambition to really overtake him, as he wants to secure his third place in the championship, and P3 in that race would be enough. I think he wants Williams to just go and to not hold him up, to not fight with him, that he's just safe on the podium. That's how I would manage it, but if he finds a safe way to get past him, for sure he will go for it. But as you see, the other guys behind, they're about to close up, and that's the danger in that situation.
It was almost a sign of moving to the inside. There's a bit of a surprise there from Christopher Dambeats, but didn't go for it, and it's quite understandable given we still have half the race to go at this point. Although you do sense that he wants to get himself by at this point, because Tiva's catching, because Laubish and Scrivens are also gaining time on these guys as well. He wants to get this over and done with and try and pull away. Oh, getting so close on the exit of turn number 9, looking to the outside into the turn 10 hairpin now. Williams will have to defend this one on the inside. It's pretty easy to do so, though. Dambeats looking for the alternate line off the corner. Can't find any forward progress just yet, but this is starting to heat up a little bit. There's another little look to the outside for Dambeats. You can see how focused he is on the task ahead.
Yeah, you can see that concentration. And that's what these drivers, these top-line drivers throughout the world of the top-line sim racers, but also in the real world, just the ability to keep that mental focus throughout a race and to make very few mistakes throughout a race is what sets these drivers apart from, say, what's known as the gentleman drivers out there. And look at that, all the way up to the white line for David Williams on the entry to turn 1. Dambeats, he can hold it around the outside here. It gives him the inside for 2. Oh, but he's not quite alongside enough. And Williams should hold it on the inside, although Dambeats will be able to carry the speed on the outside. A little bit of a rub.
Oh, rubbings racing. The elbows are out here between these two. Dambeats won't be happy about being shoved to the outside of the racetrack by Williams there. maybe a few choice words to hopefully his team, but maybe on the in-game driver radio as well. On the way through the left-hander now, you can see the amount of pressure he's piling onto the back of the Coanda Porsche ahead of him. It does seem like he's the faster driver at this stage, as the guys behind are starting to fight now, Tiber and Laubish.
BPM is about to rise at that moment, and he just needs to be calm, because the most important thing really is to stay calm. He knows where Williams is slow and where he has advantages against him. But as you said, behind Siebe and Laubish, they're also fighting, and Laubish is going for it.
Laubish down the inside is known to be one of the more risky drivers here in Porsche competition, but he's got himself clean side by side for now as he'll battle wheel to wheel. Untats ahead, Dan Beats shoved out into the gravel, able to rejoin the circuit as there's fighting going on behind. Laubish out onto the runoff there, deep down the inside, hopefully doesn't make contact with his teammate as they go wheel to wheel. But oh my word, it all started to happen through the final sector.
Yeah, and it was that Williams and Dan Beats battle at the front of it between turns 12 and 13. Just that little bit of door handle to door handle contact. And again, Williams having to go very defensive. This is where Dan Beats has been stronger than Williams. And look at that, round the outside. He can potentially hold this one. We've seen it happen in the past, being able to hold it all the way around the outside of this corner and the next, and then it sets you up nicely for the inside of turn 5, the hairpin. And if Dan Beats can keep it there, if he can keep it there, he has got the line then for the next corner, and he is doing such.
That's really strong with those cars. Yeah, it's getting on the inside, and now I think it should be done. But it's great racing, isn't it? Going side by side for 5 corners now. It's crazy. Half of the track side by side. Yeah. And now he has done it.
Oh, a little bit of a nudge to the S's there, and that's a lot of lost momentum from David Williams. He now has to try and scrap it out with Tiber as Tiber drives around his outside through the kink. That's a position gain from the 28. The 2 Urano cars waiting in the wings here in this one as well. They're looking to try and go forward as David Williams looks to try and recover the position in towards turn 10, following as close as he dares to the rear bumper. Hopefully not making contact with coming up to about 10 minutes to go now, Paul. Williams, well, he's let two of the cars, let Tiber through at the moment, so he has to try and find a way back.
He certainly does, and I will say, isn't it great to see the 2 Urano cars behind as well, of Scrivens and Laubish, being able to compete with these two up here. So Urano doing a very, very good job behind them right now. Max Benneker, he has got the easiest job in the world. He's just got to run around at the front, and he's pulled away to 8.7, 8.8 seconds in the lead here. With all this fighting that's been going on, they've been slowing each other down. They've been using up their tyres more. They've been pushing the cars to the limit more. And Benneker can just waltz away at the front. And look at that, Dan Beats now pulling away from Tiber, who I think is doing a little bit of a slowing act on David Williams.
Yeah, maybe giving Dan Beats just a little bit of breathing room. Of course, you know, these marginal point swings in the P3 battle don't really matter all that much due to the rift between them. Well, it's certainly not a rift between Williams and Tiber there, as they're just locked together on the way down through the left-hander. It's gifted Scrivens a position. It might gift Laubish the same position as well, as he'll go down the inside of Williams. There's a bit of contact between the two, but he's through and he's got that position. And well, Williams, he seems like he's been in the wars.
He's lost 4 positions in the last 2 laps, or 1.5 laps it was. Whee! That's not an easy situation for a driver. Now it's about to keep cool and to not go crazy and crash your 2 other ones and trying to make up the time you lost or the positions you lost. As I said, Benneker, he is really easy in front. 8.5 seconds, he can save the tire, and he's completely easy, but he should be, his task right now is to keep up the concentration, because we've seen many guys being in the front with a minute with so much advantage, and then suddenly they crash to do a mistake, so you still have to keep up the concentration.
Well, the prime example of that, of course, you go back in Formula 1's history, Ayrton Senna at Monaco, in qualifying was a second and a half, almost 2 seconds quicker than his teammate, was that far ahead that his team were saying, look, it's the race, slow down, look after the car. What happened? A lapse of concentration, and he ended up in the wall. That's how easy it can happen, so it's so difficult to keep that lead when you've got such a big margin.
Yeah, it is so difficult. We're running on board with Dylan Scrivens up 3 positions from where he started in this one. He's been a regular contender here in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland, but he's had some mixed results so far this season. This would be a fantastic one if he's able to finish in that position, maybe even catch up to Tiba and grab a podium from it as well. It would be fantastic there from Scrivens if he's able to do that. We've had other penalties come through, by the way. We had a no further action to the 97. That was Simon Amosa for lap 1, turn 11. And then lap 5, turn 14, car 21 and 285. 5-second post-race penalty to the 285. So that's Igor Kost. That's the incident that we did see live and, of course, on the replay as well in that one. So Igor quite rightfully getting the blame for that one from the stewards. But we're coming up to 7 minutes to go, just a handful of laps here in race number 1, and well, it's these positions inside of the top 6 cars that are up for grabs. Maybe not the first position, but everything else is still a little bit unknown at this stage. Through the final corner then for these guys, as well, we haven't seen, at least over the last couple of laps, all that much wheel-to-wheel action. Of course, we saw a whole bunch of it in the first half of the race, but maybe they're getting themselves set and prepared for potentially a pretty crazy final couple of minutes. If the prophecy holds true, I suppose. Let's see if David Williams can try and get back through on these guys. He's had a bit of an uncharacteristically difficult race in terms of his pace ball.
It got a bit scrappy, didn't it? A little bit scruffy for that lap and a half, 2 laps, and we saw it down into this hairpin. He locked up the brake, and as I said in the qualifying when we did the lap on board, so easy to lock a brake into that hairpin because it's a downhill braking section, and before you know it, you end up in the back of the car in front. So Williams have been wanting to get ahead of both Laubish and Scrivens, but I feel that his fighting with Dan Beats earlier on may have just been pushing his tyres that little bit too much early on, and he's maybe not quite got the edge that the cars in front of him have.
Yeah, that's what we mentioned before on this track. It's hugely important to get the tires in the right window and to not over push, and especially if you have to defend and if you're closely behind others, you can't really save the tire as much as you would like to. And we've seen that before. It didn't end well, but
oh yeah, Laubish.
Okay. Yeah,
Laubish out into the tires. Careful with the rejoin. Oh, traffic coming. Gotta be so careful there. Laubish getting himself loose in towards that final apex of the chicane. That wheel spun up on the rear end, and as soon as that rear end of these Porsches drifts out, you got so much weight back there, it's very difficult to try and recover with the rear-mounted powertrain. And let's see exactly what happened on the replay here, because it wasn't contact between the two of them, it was just the oversteer moment and the spin.
Well, I was about to commend him on giving space to David Williams there for there not to be contact between the two of them. But because he's done that, he's offline here. You look at this from overhead, he's offline coming into the second part of the chicane, and he's just carried that little bit too much speed. The back end swung around, and before he knows it, he's facing the wrong way.
He's more steering lock, as he used before, a higher steering angle, and he went on throttle, probably the same as he did before, with a better positioning of the car in the chicane. So he tried to avoid a crash, didn't position the car nicely enough, and went a bit too harsh on throttle. But that's it, you know, that's driving a cup car. There is no TC, no traction control, which holds you off and which helps you in those kinds of situations. If you do a mistake, you know, that car and that competition will penalize you very hard, and probably that's the reason why every single driver which is fast in a Porsche Carrera Cup car is fast in every single race series, race car on Earth, and that's just the best school you can experience.
So is that why I'm so slow on the sim then? I'm no good in the cup car.
I'm just saying, with this on board with Daniel Booth,
you
he's
are
in the VR as well.
F1 drive guy. You're the expert on that.
Yeah, but just saying, like, we're on board with Daniel Booth at the moment. You can see he's in his VR headset gear in the bottom right in the screen. And I guess that little heart there is his heart rate, right, Paul? Interesting. I didn't do that.
Yeah. That's quite high. I mean...
Says the professional driver.
Yeah, but it's similar to the... Ooh, that was a big oversteer here, mid-corner. He touched the inner sausage curve. I might know that situation. Which I did in the race before. 154, yeah, BPM. That's quite high. It's similar to what we experience in racing. That shows that he's using a lot of capacity, you know, in racing for concentration, because he doesn't feel any G-force. It's not hard to race in a sim, but we all know it. Racing in a sim, and afterwards your T-shirt is wet, as it would be in the car as well. So it's all about the concentration and the capacity you have as a driver, and how much you're pushing.
Yeah, I guess it was pretty high as well, because he was trying to battle actively there with Nicholas Laubisch, who was able to squeak his way through that. So that's a recovering Laubisch from the spin that we saw through the final couple of corners a little bit earlier on. So he's back inside the top 10, gaining some good points. Ooh, big tank slapper there for the 53 of Daniel Muth. Good car control to keep them together though. But we are heading into the final portions of the race now, Paul. Things have kind of fizzled out a little bit towards the very front. Of course, Benecke has now a 10-second advantage over Dan Beats here, so that's absolutely crazy. Dan Beats in his own little bit of space as well. So at least for the battle for the top couple of positions, it seems like everything is going to be settled in this order to the checkered flag. But I have been very wrong before.
I'm not doing a Murray Walker with Nigel Mansell at Canada 1991 when Nigel Mansell was waving to the crowd after the final hairpin, and then the car just ground to a halt. But I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say he's won or anything like that. But it's been a tremendous drive up the front. He did everything that he needed to do. Got the launch off the start, looked in his mirror, see that his championship rival isn't there, and just focused forward and driven away from the rest of the crowd.
We won't call him a championship winner just yet. We'll wait until race 2. But for Maximilian Benecke, that's the points gap there between himself and Diogo Pinto. 46 points at the end of this race. It's 50 for a race win. And, well, since the scoring goes all the way down to P32, he's basically the championship winner at this point, unless Benecke, for some reason, gets disqualified in the second race and scores 0 points, and then Pinto wins it. That's going to be a very unlikely situation. But at the end of race number 1 here, there he is, Maximilian Benecke, heading his way through the final couple of corners here in race number 1 of the finale of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. He's elated with his performance. He takes the race win here today. We've got another race to go, but you can see how happy he is about that. He got himself a championship.
Yeah, quite an emotional moment for him. And Dan Beats finished second. Sebus Grivens-Williams, who secured 5th place. So, yeah, he overtook Valero. No. It's Laubisch, who just finished P9, so there was something going on.
Yeah, there was Laubisch and Amosa were side by side coming across the line there. Laubisch just about able to get P number 9 by a couple of hundredths of a second at the line there. That was very, very close there for those positions, just inside of the top 10. Everyone else starting to trickle their way across the line here. But you can see further down the order on that left side, Diogo Pinto P20. That's where he'll be starting for race number 2 as well. It's been a horrible day for the Portuguese driver, but for the German of Maximilian Benecke, it's just about to get even better, I get the feeling. As Maximilian Benecke wins race 1 here today with Christopher Dan Beats in P2, Alexander Tiber in P3, make a Porsche 24 driven by Redline 1, 2, 3. Dylan Scrivens from Urano Esports in P4 with David Williams with a tumultuous race. Finishes the race in P5 with Gal Valero P6, Ricardo Ferreira in P7, Dominic Weber P8, Nicolas Laubisch P9, Simon Amosa in P10. And then you cycle things down. Daniel Muth in P11, Dennis Neidhart in P12, Till Bem in P13, Adam Volkovic P14, Igor Kos P15, Lucas Lippert 16th, Lang in 17th, Belka in 18th, Ragaira in P19, Denela in P20 here today. And then you cycle things back. There's Diogo Pinto P21 in fact at the end there. So that's where he'll be starting at the start of race number 2. Right at the very back of the order. It's a last to first challenge for Diogo Pinto there, Paul. It's a shame it had to end that way, but that's what racing is, you know. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, and it's the battles along the way that make it so worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, don't take anything away from his season here. He's been absolutely tremendous, and unfortunately, championship finale, lap 1, things just did not go his way. But he can redeem himself a little bit here in this final race. If he has a good, clean race, works his way through the field, it'll be a hard-charging race for him, and he could still get himself a nice result at the end here. But it's not going to be easy out there, and he'll be disappointed. Absolutely disappointed, no doubt about that. He's got to pick himself up, compete well in this final race to say, well, do you know what? Yeah, I lost the championship in that first lap, but what a result at the end.
It's tragic that happens in that way as well. It could have happened in some other way. It could have happened final lap of race 2. You know, he makes a mistake and it's all gone. But to have it happen at the first lap of race 1, in the first couple of seconds of race 1, when he dropped through the order, it was always going to be a fight back from there. And then to have it down in towards, have that happen down in towards the hairpin is you know, his own doing. He got a penalty for it. But it's not the way you'd want to see things done. And of course, Nico as well. You know, as a racing driver yourself, you know what it takes to win races and to win championships and such. And have you ever been in a similar situation before where you had such high pressure, but unfortunately you weren't able to deliver on the day?
Actually, I think every time I was in a potential good situation to win a championship, I won it in a final race. So that's a good situation, or was a good situation for myself back then. But of course, I mean, you get to know it from other races where probably you're in the front row finally, and you work so hard for it, and then you mess up the start. That's something I experienced in my life already. But you know, it's life, and in the end of the day, it's always important to do only mistakes once, the same mistakes, and to go away with a decent learning. And I think that's the main thing. He can be proud of himself, being second, probably second then in the championships standings in the end of the day, after the second race today. He secures a lot of money, and I think he has shown the sim world, the iRacing world, that he is one of the absolute fastest guys.
Yeah, that is, there's certainly not in any doubt there. Of course, just a reminder, the prize pool of the series, first place in the championship gets €12,000 and an invitation to a celebratory dinner with the folks over at Porsche, so that's absolutely fantastic. We got position number 2 gets €8,000, and position number 3 gets €5,000 as well. So that's the little situation that we saw between Dan Beats and Williams as well. But this is the replay of the start, of course, and you know, it was again. I think for Pinto's sake, we're probably not going to replay this too many times, Paul.
Yeah, he'll not be watching back this part of the broadcast. I don't think he'll be quite happy not to do that. But this is where it already has come apart. Then that got him a penalty, and then he's tried to cut off Amosa there, and it's just the slightest of contact. That's all it takes, is just the smallest of contact. And it's at that point he got contact with other cars coming through, and that's where he had the damage, which meant that he wasn't able to carry on through in that race. So yeah, he just knew straight away. He parked it up. He knew that he wasn't able to race this car. David Williams, well, we saw him have a bit of a mare midway through the race, and we'll see it right here. This is the incident down into the hairpin, and he locks up his brakes into the back of the car in front. That allows the two Urano cars to come through on him there as well. So just that one little mistake, little lock up, and that causes him to lose the position. This was a nice move to the inside of the chicane, and unfortunately for Laubish, offline, gets on the power, and around he goes.
Simple mistake, especially in these cars. Like Nico said before, they don't have any assists to speak of. No traction control, no ABS, and the traction control particularly important in that particular instance. The wheels just spinning up and the car getting away from Laubish there. But there's the man of the moment. There's Maximilian Berneke coming up through towards that final corner, and well, eventually to win race number 1 here. We do have another race, so you do want to stick around for yet more Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland action. But this man has done so well over the course of this season. It was a close fight with his now teammate of Diogo Pinto, but with a 47-point advantage heading into the second race, it would require a bolt from the blue and winning the lottery 15 million times over for Diogo Pinto to be able to do anything coming into the next race. So of course, for Berneke, all he needs to do now is just get to the checkered flag in race 2, and that's going to be it sealed for him.
Certainly is, and well, he's got a nice Sunday afternoon drive now, hasn't he? He can just sit back, relax, start front row of the grid, and just drive away and just take it nice and easy. The pressure's off him now. He doesn't have to do that. And you saw the emotion on his face as well when he crossed the line. It's rare that we get to see that from Max. He's usually a calm, cool, collected person, but there, he was so elated and so happy with himself, and why shouldn't he be?
Yeah, I certainly agree as well. You're absolutely right. Even when we've been to live events, in-person events, remember those, right? At certain venues, even at Porsche Leipzig, you know, that preview event for Porsche's esports program, he was always just super cool, super focused, and you know, even though he won races, sometimes it was just like it was still just maybe a fifth bump and or something like that. But nothing like shouting and screaming like that. I think the equivalent would be to when he won the Porsche Sim Racing trophy at the Sim Racing Expo that one year. I think it might have been 2018, if I'm not mistaken, Paul. I think you were there.
I wasn't there, no. Not that year.
Was there?
Not that year.
I was there.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I just remember because it was all of his teammates crowding around him and just congratulating him when he came out the final corner at the end of the race, and so, you know, they threw him up in the air, and it was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, we can't have such shenanigans here in this one as much as we would want to. Maybe for a future season, who knows? I'm just going to tease that one out there, but Nico, heading into the second race now, we've got, I would say, well, about a minute and a half before we get ourselves the gridding procedure underway for that one. I think for the vast majority of drivers, it's just about having a little bit of fun now at the end.
Yeah, those are the coolest races because there is no pressure. You can just have fun there with the guys out there, and you know, you always work hard the whole season to get such a race because everything is done. Yeah. I mean, best case, you're finishing in a good position. I think the happiest guy is Max, being in front, and he can really just enjoy that last race of the season.
Yep, I think so as well. It's hopefully going to be clean sailing for him until the end. Paul, there's no pressure on him. Maybe he can even help out some of his teammates somewhat in their particular battles. Who knows? But we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an end-of-term feeling now for these drivers. It's you know, time to bring your toys to class and and have some fun. That's what's happening here now in this final race. And to be fair, I think some of the other drivers in the grid, they've got their own little bit of. They wanted to set their stall, and they wanted to really see how they compare against these top drivers, and we've seen how that Urano team has sort of come through, hasn't it, throughout this season, as well as they've become more confident with the car. So definitely want to see some of those drivers maybe competing with those at the front in the near future.
Well, we're just getting ourselves transitioned over into racing mode here once again at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Here's a refresh of the starting grid. It's the exact results from what we saw from race number 1. So Maximilian Bernecker will start on pole position with his teammate of Christopher Dambeat on that first row as well. Alexander Tiber starts in 3rd with Dylan Scrivens in 4th. Williams starts in 5th with Valero in 6th place. Ferrara in 7th with Weber in 8th. Laubisch 9th. Amosa 10th. Muth in 11th with Neidhart in 12th. Till Bem starts in 13th with Adam Volkovic 14th. Koss in 15th with Lippert in 16th. Lang in 17th and Weilacher in P18 here today. The last couple of drivers, Regueira, Danella and Diogo Pinto starting P21. Last two first challenge for Diogo Pinto. Everyone getting themselves ready, and well, it's the final race of the season here in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland. Thank you very much everyone for tuning in for what has been an absolutely chaotic season, but it all ends here at Barcelona Catalunya. The final race is underway as the drivers fan out across the starting grid. A fantastic start from David Williams from 5th place on the starting grid. He's going to be challenging for 2nd down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. Late on the brakes into here. Scrivens looking for the inside 3 wide though. Oh my god, there's a little bit of contact as Williams gets spat out on towards the runoff by the driver of Christopher Dambeat. They were close and fair throughout the season, but it all goes undone in the first part of the final race as we see the field swing through the exit of the first sector. Valero and Tiber battling wheel to wheel.
I do think that 3 into 1 does not go, and I think I'm sorry to say, just from that initial look that we saw, Williams was squeezing to the inside. Volkovic is off. Regueira as well off and out of this race. We've got more. Dominic Weber into the gravel trap. Gal Valero, I think, was involved in that one as well. Bit of carnage, bit of cold tyres affecting things, but drivers sorting themselves out here on this first lap.
Yeah, for Weber, it was definitely cold tyres. He didn't have any bit of contact with anyone. Oh, speaking of contact, there's a big one in the background there. Multiple drivers into the wall. Laubisch and Ferreira are the cars involved in that one with heavy impacts with the concrete, Nico.
I just said that those races are the coolest. There is no pressure anymore. But now we can see a demolition game. Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, as you said, cold tires, probably nothing to win, nothing to lose anymore, and then those guys are going for it. But Pinto is back on P8, so from 21 to P8 in the first lap, and more crash.
What's happening back here involving Dennis Neidhart and Valero also involved in that one as well. So a lot of chaotic moments there in the mid-pack, that's for certain. There are some beneficiaries of it in a huge way. Diogo Pinto, he was 21st. He's in P8 now, and now he's just past Ben for P7.
Well, I said he was going to just have the pressure off and have a bit of fun coming through from the back. My goodness, this is a way to try and get rid of the demons of race 1. This is a sensational charge through the field on that first lap. Okay, he's been assisted by a few little different incidents that happen out there. But I just want to say a quick mention. Dylan Scrivens, what a drive he's having. 2nd place as there goes Pinto on Muth. And yeah, P6 for Pinto. But Scrivens in that Urano car holding back Tiber in this stage.
Oh, Muth is off in a big way through the S's section out into the gravel. You'll be able to get that back going though. One of the VR users in the field, hopefully not going to feel a little bit too nauseous after having a bit of a spin like that, as sometimes that tends to happen. But battling on the live pictures as well, Igor Koss versus Lucas Lippert on the way down in towards turn number 10. Lippert lay on the brakes, not able to get anything done into there though. But I got to appreciate Diogo Pinto's start of race 2 once again. He 21st up into 6th in 2 laps. That's got to be some form of record, right?
Yeah, and you know what, guys? This is probably the most important race for Diogo, because after the disappointment of race 1, and we have another spin.
Oh,
Belgium.
Yeah, big impact.
The car will be damaged for sure. what I was trying to say is that is probably one of the most, or the most important race of Pinto's career, because after a very, very bad feeling after race 1, now it's time to just free himself out of that very, very difficult situation. And you know, he can really get out championship and assume that it was a very successful end, and that he never stopped fighting, and that's the most important thing. So it can free yourself a bit.
Yeah, and well, on board with Igor Koss at the moment as he's trying to follow on to the back of Lucas Lang in the number 73 Porsche ahead of him. So that is the battle for P9 that you're seeing right now. We're coming up to about 25 minutes to go, not just of the race, but of the season as well. Benneke has done very well once again to extend the gap. Here's the look back, though, at a battle for position between Alexander Tiber and was the driver Dylan Scrivens here. So battle for 3rd place on the way down in towards turn 10. Dylan Scrivens down the inside here, and well, he's going to be able to cover off the move, but there's the up and under from Alexander Tiber to launch himself into the final sector. There's trading paint through the corner, red on orange and white. But now Scrivens is ahead, slides it ahead, and keeps the driver of Tiber behind. This is a great defensive effort so far for Scrivens, but I don't know how long this can go on for.
Yeah, this is he's coming under intense pressure, and all of this is allowing Simon Amosa and Diogo Pinto to catch up to the back of them here. So Scrivens, I would say he's doing a tremendous job, 3rd place, but he's got so much pressure from Tiber, who is so used to being involved in high-pressure championships, and he'll be just keeping right behind him, right on his rear bumper, keep the pressure on. Scrivens, not as used to being at the front of a field in a championship of this standard, but still showing his effort out there and showing he's putting on a good show.
Here's what happened to David Williams on the start, swinging it around the outside 3 wide. I don't think he expected that there was going to be a 3 wide moment there, so cut into the line as if there was going to be 2 wide, but unfortunately there was a car on the inside there occupying the space, and that's what the red line driver had to consider as well. So I had to take a bit of a wider line, and there's yet more incidents on their way in towards turn 4 there on the opening lap of things. So not the prettiest first lap here. Here's the issue for Dominik Weber, as he had his own self-spin on the way in through turn 5 here, and gets Galvalero caught up in that one as well. So lots of drivers having problems early on, and it continues here. Here's the big impact that we had between Laubisch and Ferreira. Impact with the wall there. Well, thankfully, Nico, these cars are not real, and they can. There's going to be no injuries and no damage built.
That's the main thing in that situation. Yeah, such a situation in real world would have been very painful. Even though those cars, and especially also the Cup cars nowadays, Porsche produced a very, very safe car. Luckily, even in those horror crashes, most of the times there is no one really heavily injured or something. But yeah, always nicer to just press the escape button and to be okay.
Tiber was able to get through up into P3, so that's the position change there between himself and Dylan Scrivens. So it's now a Team Red Line P1, 2 and 3. I've failed to mention it so far during this broadcast, Paul, but it is in fact my birthday today, and I'm doing this on my birthday, and well, I'm getting an okay race, let's just say that.
Yeah, they're giving us a show here, and we'll expect them to give you some candles to blow out later on. But
don't start singing either.
Prepare something. Yeah.
Do you know what? There is a history of people singing "Happy Birthday" to commentators on RaceSpotTV broadcasts. If you go back to Sebring 2016, I think it was. So yeah, so definitely, you know, there is a history of that. But no, I won't be doing it because nobody wants to hear me sing.
Same for me, no chance.
I think we're kind of all living in agreement there, so I'm glad it's not happening. I guess the chat can wish me happy birthday, there we go. Thank you very much, everyone in the Twitch and the YouTube chats. But we're riding on board with Igor Koss, back to the racing. battle for 10th place there, as he's got Lucas Lang ahead of him. This has been raging on for a little while. Igor Koss, you can see with the, well, briefly with the arrow in the 4 there, he's up 4 positions from where he started, and well, we've been seeing around about that figure, if not even more, from a good handful of drivers out there in race 2 because of the attrition rate that we had in through race 1, Paul.
Can I just point out, Diogo Pinto is 16 places up, as there was that issue there, but up 16 positions up into 5th place, and he's now putting pressure on Scrivens in front of him as we're looking down towards turn number 1, and there's an instant there. That's Tiba, that's Pinto, and there's Scrivens.
Pinto is in P3.
Oh my words! This race just gets more and more confusing, doesn't it? That's what has happened between Tiba and Scrivens there. I'm not too sure. It was a lunge from Scrivens, bit of a door-to-door contact coming through the first turn there, and Pinto might have gotten a bit of a lick of damage as a result of that, as he was trying to work his way through as well. Yeah, I mean, racing hard here in the final race of the season, you kind of expect these things to happen, but it was a bit of a barge here from Scrivens, just a bit.
It was ambitious. Oh yeah, there will be a bit of damage on the front of Pinto's car. I will say, we've only just gone past the 10-minute mark of this race as well, so what on earth can happen in the rest of this one?
I know, right?
Probably there are no cars left then. Yeah.
Possibly. We hope everyone keeps their heads and keeps it together here, as, there's another spinner at the back. Yeah, this is final race of the season things, I suppose, as Tilbam takes the tow back to pit lane after running in P7, which would have been a pretty good result for them. So lots of retirements in this one, unfortunately, as we head inside the 20 minutes to go mark. And now this here comes an interesting situation because, of course, we've got Dan Beats in P2 now. We got Pinto in P3. The gap between Dan Beats and Pinto is quite excessive at this point, so it'll require quite a lot of effort for Pinto to try and catch in that, for Pinto to catch in the gap to Dan Beats, but Tiba is still following his teammate rather closely. Let's give him a show here.
Yeah, absolutely. They are all teammates, but there is no team orders here in this Red Line team. The Porsche 24 by Red Line outfit, and certainly putting on a good display. The team boss Dom DeHaan will be delighted to see 4 of his cars up there at the front of the field. So that'll be one for the scrapbook for the team website, that's for sure.
There are the live points, as Beneke, he will be, the plus 100, or the up 100 that you see there is the points that he's gaining so far in this event. So taking both race wins would mean plus 100 for Maximilian Beneke, and you can see that reflected in the standings. If they finish as they are right now, Pinto will be ending up 56 points behind, more than a race win's worth behind there in that situation for Pinto. So you can have a little bit of fun. You can see, how far up the field he can get here in race number 2. Of course, he's doing the last to first challenge, not intentionally, but it's just a matter of circumstance for Pinto from P21 up into 3rd at the moment, and we've not even got half the race done yet.
Williams is doing the same, actually. After he spun in turn 1, he's back in P7 and trying to catch P6, so also a very strong race from him. Guess turn 1 was just a bit optimistic, turning in there. He wanted to put the absolute hero move, but it didn't really quite go there. And now in the slipstream is going for it for sure.
He's got significant damage to the front of his car. Sorry, Connery. He has got that significant damage. Now, if you were in the Porsche Carrera Cup car, this particular vehicle in real life, that's where all the radiators are kept, isn't it? That's where you've got like the oil cooler and your water cooling as well in the front there, and it's so easy to end up breaking your car for the race just by contact at the front, isn't it, Nico?
That's the worst message you can get on the dash. It's water level alarm. and then you know, okay, you've just destroyed the radiators in the front, and then the race is done, and then you need to switch off the engine immediately, otherwise you will kill the engine because you will overheat him. So yeah, as you said, that's a bit easier in the sim racing world, but even here he will lose a bit of straight line speed, and even though he has major damage in front, he was still able to catch was it Lippert, I think,
yes it was, yeah.
In piste.
Here we go then. So halfway, well, getting towards the halfway points of this one. And, well, still very close battling for positions just outside the top 5 there. So you got Williams, you got Scrivens, you got Lippert, you got Lang, you potentially even have Koss and Weber eventually involved in this one as well. Koss had a decent lock-up in towards the final couple of corners there, and the Urano car of Scrivens just teasing with the gravel a little bit too much on the exit of that final turn. But across the line they come, then down the hill in towards turn number 1, and well, no one close enough to be able to make any moves at this point, but they're all keeping each other honest. Sometimes, Paul, it's just a case of keeping yourself in the opponent's wing mirrors, and you never know what might happen.
Yeah, a little bit of that. See if you can force a mistake out of the car in front. We've just had the message come up from race control, a message that very seldomly anyone wants to see if their car number is involved. Car 13 and car 107 instant on lap 1 turn 9 to be reviewed after the race. So I think the stewards are wanting to have a little word with those two drivers.
Yeah, I get that feeling as well. Of course, the 13 and the 107. The 13 is Ricardo Ferreira, and the 107 is Nicholas Laubish. So that was the big off that we saw through the kink on the opening lap there. So they'll be having a talking to after the race. Of course, the stewards, I would have guessed, are quite busy at the moment here, Nico, with the amount of bits of contact that we've had over the course of this race. Maybe they're shuffling some things to be done after the race because they're not pressing issues right now.
I think so, and they're both out of the race, so they don't have to decide it within the race, and it's more important to decide the action of the drivers, which they're still, still racing right now. And but they will definitely discuss it. I mean, it's bad to see such a bad crash, even though no one gets hurt in that moment. And in sim racing, it's just bad to watch, and it will be a huge discussion, I think, because that's the most work, or the most hard race for the race consultant and race stewards by far this season.
Will be. I'll have a little bit of a discussion with them afterwards, if they're even done within a couple of hours of this race finishing. Let's just say that. But on board then with Dominic Weber, who has been up and down the field like a yo-yo, it feels like. He's been involved in a lot of things so far in this one. He's lost overall 4 positions based on where he started, though, so it's not been the most ideal of race number 2s, and there's well, maybe a little bit of damage to his car. There's definitely a little bit of damage to Valero's car ahead of him. You can see that on the rear right-hand side of that machine. I do like how Valero's car is basically looks like a toy car with the livery. I think I mentioned that before, Paul. I'm not dissing it. In fact, I think it looks pretty good.
A particular brand of toy car, yes, we won't say because they're not sponsoring this, so you won't get your name said unless you pay us. We've had a couple of penalties come through, by the way. 5-second penalty for the car 205 for contact, which is Tim Billage, and also 5-second post-race penalty for the 99, which is Till Bem, who of course is out of the race.
Of course, that doesn't.
What a hard disser you are, Connery, huh? That on your birthday, yeah.
Also, I've noticed on Valero's car, it does say the Cayman S on the back, which is not this car. So I think Valero's playing us a little bit of a visual joke there. So I'm sure Porsche will appreciate it. But on board with Valero, in fact, he's got his camera, or it must be his laptop, his phone, set up right behind him there, so he can't exactly see what's going on his screens because of the glare. But this is a pretty common setup that you'll see for a lot of the higher tier drivers, shall we say, the triple screens with the additional utility screen up above, where you can put things like timing or your text communications or anything that you could possibly need during a race up on that top screen. So it just gives you a little bit of help. Also for the streamers, it's particularly helpful to have a separate top screen as well. But for Valero, hopefully his connection holds together and he's able to challenge the car ahead and finish inside that top 10.
I can tell you, I can confirm that as somebody who does occasionally stream whilst racing, it is helpful having that monitor above just to give you that information, because it's within sort of quick eyesight of you whilst you're racing. So yes, it does help a lot because that monitor's not awful.
And we saw with Nico's rig tour at the very start of the broadcast, you're on that single ultra ride, right?
Yep, exactly. Which is quite nice. I also had a triple screen before, but I do really prefer that one because seeing, I think it's going for it, going on the inside and side by side. Guys, do not touch on the outside.
Valero squeezing through. There we go. Oh, just about as he's was at risk of going off track there. Igor Kos also involved in this with Dominic Weber. He's on the tail end of all of this action, and Weber's going to dive down the inside at the chicane. There he is. A big surprise move, but it's effective. Now on the way through the final corner, Kos could potentially get a slipstream and maybe have an opportunity here down in towards turn number 1. That's why you see Weber trying to weave and trying to break the draft on the way down into the braking zone here. I don't think Kos is close enough to be able to make the move. He'll show the nose to the inside regardless, just to try and scare the driver offline, but he knows better than to go for an absolute send from there.
I will say the man behind them, Daniel Muth, is right on the tail of this 4-car battle, so he's wanted to try and pick up the pieces here. Now, Connery, I feel that we've let him down a little bit because he's still got his your advert, your sponsor logo here on the side of his car. So I feel like we've not done a good enough job of selling Daniel's racing to be able to entice sponsors as Valero with a big lock-up into turn 5.
Yeah, big lockup, but doesn't lose him any position. Loses him a little bit of time there, back to Weber. And we're still running on board here with the FTR Esports car of Igor Kos as he focuses on the task ahead of him. We're inside the final third of the race now. Race lead gap is 5 seconds between Beneke and Dambit. Beneke is just off for a nice Sunday drive at this point. He's not a care in the world. He's $12,000, not $12,000, he's 12,000 euros richer. It's even better. So for Beneke, it's clean sailing until the end there. Look at the Pinto though, up 18 spots from where he started. That's a pretty crazy stat line. So Moses up 5, Lippert and Lang are both up 8 apiece as well. So a couple of big movers so far.
It's a crazy final race, but Beneke has just extended his lead in the last few laps. I think probably 5 minutes ago. Oh, there's someone in gravel, and it's Kos.
Yeah, so driving a little bit too over his head there, and having a little bit of a slide through that final turn out into the gravel. But thankfully, the gravel is pretty forgiving in most platforms on sim racing, in fact. So you're able to take a trip through there and you don't get stuck, which is a benefit of the sim racing gravel, I suppose. Yeah, he got a bit too close to the grass on the outside, and it just hooked the car into the gravel there because no one else was involved in that one. How much would you give, Nico, for the real world to have gravel that acts like our gravel does, in that you can't get stuck in it?
Well, to be honest, many racing circuits aren't equipped anymore with travel beds, so you can always run off into some black or whatever colored runoffs, which is the same actually, because probably most of the racing drivers, we just prefer a piece of grass or a bit of gravel. If you do a mistake, yeah, you get penalized, you're probably stuck there, but all the situation and all the discussion about track limits will end at some point. So hopefully that will change soon. That will change back to more gravel beds, and that was another mistake.
Yeah, Weber through. And, I know, because it's a track limits discussion, and Paul's going to chime in now because he has to.
Connery knows my feelings on track limits, but I will say, discussing sort of runoff areas and that, and that we raced there right at the start of the season, Spa-Francorchamps. What a sad sight it was to see the Chalet getting knocked down at the top of Eau Rouge Radion. It was earlier this week getting knocked down as they're doing some work to increase the runoff area at the top of Radion there to try and stop cars being fired back across the track. It is something that needed to be done in terms of to try and stop those cars potentially going back onto the track if they have an accident up there, because you're doing such high speed. And you know, at the end of the day, the safety of the drivers and the marshals and the spectators is the utmost paramount importance at race circuits. And you know, some circuits feel that having the asphalt runoff is the safer option than a gravel track. So it is what it is, and we just have to deal with it the best that we can. But I still think that the drivers should be able to drive between the white lines and not over them.
Yeah, I think so too. It's white lines and curbs here in this series, but of course the stewards do reserve the right to change them at certain points on the circuit if it's better for racing action, or if it's better for the drivers, or if the drivers are struggling to keep within the regular track limits, as was the case in Imola, in fact, because on the normal racing line coming out of the Variante Alta, there's a big bump that just completely unsettles the car, and otherwise, you know, if you're having to go over that every single time, it's basically a lottery whether or not you'll be able to control the car over it, which is why they let them push wide out the Variante Alta that time around instead of penalising the track limits. But yeah, that's a whole discussion. Probably shouldn't continue it on any further. There's the there was the battle for 5th place, and we're also on board with Valero with the battle for 10th at the moment between himself and Weber. It looks like these are going to be really the only fights that we'll get to see before the end of this race, and of course the entire season as well. 4.5 minutes left to go here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. There's the 97 involved with the 31. That's Simon Amosa and David Williams scrapping it out for P5. Top 5 finish on the cards between these two. Let's see if Williams is able to do it. I don't know if I rate his chances with a damaged car, but in the end, he is David Williams, and we know how potent he can be sometimes. Big look on the exit of turn 4 there, but it's not going to give the opportunity to 5.
And he would say he missed a huge opportunity to end up on a podium on the final race, because his pace is good, even though his car is damaged. Probably will finish within the top 5. And Pinto got rid of Tiber. The gap is now 3 seconds, which was a saw over there, the 2 orange cars. So yeah, they're in front. Everything seems to be sorted. Around the outside should not be possible.
It shouldn't be through turn 10, but it's worked out for David Williams, as it nets him the inside for turn 11. So that's neatly done by David Williams. In fact, that was pretty impressively done. And now Amosa has to look behind, because here's this driver, Scrivens.
I will say, very respectful driving. Maybe a little bit too much respect given by Amosa there, but they gave each other space, and Williams was able to make that move. But that started at turn 9, did that move. You don't normally see people going too wide through turn 9, so Williams felt that he could do it, and he's done it. And he's probably going faster with that damage on the front than he was before. He seems to be rocketing down the track now away from Amosa.
Does, and well, on board with the Urano Esports car of Scrivens, number 55 was his chosen number, and well, like I said, he's had a couple of mixed results so far this season, but he's had a couple of standout performances, and well, the sprint, the first race here was certainly one of them, getting himself up into P4 over the course of the race, which was a fantastic effort there from Scrivens. He even had a pretty good day when we went to what was it? Silverstone was his other good performance, and the Nürburgring, to be fair, was also worked out pretty good for him. So, I would take a lot of positives out of this season if you're Scrivens. Yes, you weren't good enough to be able to fight amongst those top couple of positions and fight for the championship, but to show up this well against some stiff competition is always commendable.
Certainly is, and he's done well. Okay. few mistakes here and there, got involved in a couple of incidents throughout the season, but it's been good to see that progress. As I said before the start of this particular race, it's been good to see the Urano teams come on and move on and be able to fight with some of these top teams. And we've got a car around at the chicane. Is that Tiba?
It is.
Well, he was all on his own.
It was. And now he's lost P4 to Williams. Issue on the brakes into the chicane. Got up under the kid. Might have even got half a tyre into the grass on the right-hand side as well. Car just did not like that and spins all the way around. We'll get to see the replay of it. Here he is, all on his own, coming down into the chicane. A little bit too wide on entry, and the car just swaps ends.
Touch the grass, and then he's no chance to hold the car and to save the car. What did we say before? You need to keep up the concentration, huh? And that was such a mistake. He was alone, and he was about to finish the race on P4, and probably he thought, okay, it's all done anyways. And then you do those little stupid mistakes then.
Here's Simon Amosa and Dylan Scrivens here. So now this is a battle for P5. So top 5 finish potentially for these two. We are on the final lap now, as Beneke is just heading his way through the final sector of things. And what a season it has been for Maximilian Beneke. It was as close as you like until this event here at Barcelona, Catalonia. But in the end, one man stands above all. Maximilian Beneke, of course, more famous in terms of his season wins with his team, but this was all an individual performance. Maximilian Beneke, our version of Supermax here in sim racing, comes across the line to win the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland Championship. A double race win in the end. Makes it all worthwhile for Maximilian Beneke as he now wins 12,000 euros.
I don't know whether he intended to do that little bit of a slide through the last corner. He looked a bit, it looked to be a little bit of a, oh, I got away with that one, but yeah, do the donuts here, Max. You absolutely deserve it. It has been a tremendous season from Max. He's put under a lot of pressure by Pinto throughout this championship, and he deserves it though. He came out on top at the end here. Well done, Max.
And a good recovery of Pinto, very important for his self-confidence going into the winter break, and finishing P3 after a very chaotic race. So good for Pinto as well then in the end.
There's the celebratory donuts and a little bit of a punt from his teammate there as well. There's a bit, Diogo Pinto, excuse me, in the green-wheeled Redline Porsche. Of course, Beneke's championship rival over the course of the vast majority of this season. In fact, they've always been so close together on track, and of course, you know, them being teammates now, they weren't at the very start of the season. Hopefully they can combine their powers and go for more glory in later seasons and in anything else they're doing in terms of sim racing esports championships in the future. Of course, we wish them the best of luck when it comes to the Porsche TAG Heuer Esports Super Cup. That's going to be starting in the new year. But here are the results from Barcelona, Catalonia for race number 2. Maximilian Beneke, double race win, and the championship goes his way. Christopher Dambeat secures P3 in the championship as well, so that's a sum of 5,000 euros going his way. Diogo Pinto, what a race 2 it was, from last to P3. He comes third in the championship, and rather second in the championship, and gets himself 8,000 euros as well. David Williams finishes in P4 with Simon Amosa in P5. Dylan Scrivens in P6 with Lucas Lippe in P7. Alexander Tiba P8 with Lucas Lang in 9th, and Dominic Weber rounds out the top 10 there. And well, it was a very interesting attrition for this race. Gal Valero in P11 with Daniel Moof in 12th, Nicholas Denela and Igor Kost down to 14th, and then Tim Belka in P15, and then everyone else are retirement. So Till Bem, Dennis Neidhart, Nicholas Laubish, Ricardo Ferreira, Pedro Regueira, and of course the driver at the very back, Adam Volkovic, will be the last car classified here today in race number 2. So that's the racing done here for the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland, and well, it's the number 11 Porsche 24 driven by Redline car Maximilian Berneke that takes it all after 8 events of racing. We've got 16 races involved in all of that. That's what it takes to become a champion here, to do well in the vast majority of those, and the consistency throughout the season is key as well. Let's take a moment to try and speak to the drivers. Paul, you're going to be standing by with your now, we can confirm, of course, championship winner of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland for 2021. It's Max Berneke.
Max, you are 12,000 euros better off, but you had to fight for that all the way through this championship. What did you think, though? Start of that race one, you get a brilliant launch away. You see your competitor in a huge cloud of smoke because he can't pull away. Were you just focusing then just purely forward in that first race to get the win?
Hey guys, that start obviously decided the race today. It wasn't particularly good of me, but Diogo just had it, the worst possible. You can get just wheel spin, slip the clutch too easily, and yeah, from there on, I saw his position. I saw that he spun again or had a contact. So from that moment on, I knew, okay, that's it, and I just have to focus. But still, enjoyed the race. Tried to manage my tires and tried to still pull away as much as I could. Kind of like a time trial. So that was good. But overall, hard championship for sure. Diogo was on top of his game all the time, so very happy that in the end it worked out, and got a championship.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, you are the champion. That is absolutely delightful for you to have the recognition of all that hard work that you've put in this season. Just tell the people at home, though, when you're in that situation where you've got a 8 or whatever second it was lead in both of these races here, how hard is it to keep that focus, to keep that concentration, to not make a mistake out there? Because you know, if you throw it off of the track in race one and end up not finishing the race, well, you and Diogo are battling it out once again. Just how difficult is that for you to keep that concentration?
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst case scenario, and it has never happened to me, and I hope it will never happen to me, but of course it can. But in the first race, I didn't talk to my teammates at all. I was completely muted, so I still was concentrating as much as I could to just not make a huge mistake. You can make slight mistakes, like you can just outbrake yourself in 1 or 2 corners, but usually that should not happen. I took some risk again in the last corner, tried to drift. Didn't work so well in the first race, but worked a bit better in the second one. It's obviously always hard to concentrate and to put the best lap times in. But on the other hand side, you know you have it. You just have to fight till. You just have to drive till the end. So we are so experienced on what we're doing that it shouldn't be hard for anyone.
Well, Max, Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland champion. Sounds good, that, doesn't it?
That sounds lovely. Yeah, in a car, I've not been that good in the last couple of years, but that feels good, obviously, and I definitely take it, and I look forward to hopefully another season so I can defend that title.
Well, savor the moment, really do. Just take the time, savor the moment, just knowing that you are the champion. Max Berneke, congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Well, there we go. Max Berneke able to get a solo championship once again. It's been a long time since we've said that, but all credit where credit's due. He's going to be very, very happy about that one. 12,000 euros richer as well. Let's have a little bit of a word to our next driver, shall we? We will get second in the race. It's going to be Christopher Dambeats coming in and joining us. And, well, Dambeats, you've secured P3 in terms of points in the championship as well. So you're going to get yourself a prize pool of 5,000 euros. And, well, that's a tidy sum to be taking away at the end of the season.
Yeah, that is really nice to take the third place in the championship and, 5K with it. So, yeah, that was the goal for today's race, to secure it. And yeah, it was quite eventful to make it secure, but in the end, yeah, everything is fine.
Yeah, and you run a pretty solid race. Of course, you got yourself P2 in both races. So Benica did the double race win, you did the double P2. It must have been a pretty ideal day, and you certainly can't fault it.
Yeah, that's correct. Like the first race was very nice. Like I had a nice battle with David, and yeah, after that I just was looking for no mistakes in the second race, and then we just bring it home together, and yeah, that was like the best outcome of today's races.
If you look back on the season, are you incredibly happy with the performance, or do you think there is still room for improvement to try and get yourself up in and amongst both Max and Diogo at the end of one of these seasons?
Yeah, like I struggled a bit in the beginning of the season. Like I think that was where the big gap to Diogo and Max came, and I need to like work on that to be right at the start of the season, like on the front in the top 3, to be able to fight for the championship, or like be 1 and 2, and yeah, that's what I have to do better next time.
Well, we certainly wish you all the best in your future events. You certainly do have a lot of pace behind the wheel, and hopefully you can find even more success in whatever you do next. So thank you very much, Chris, for joining us.
Yo, thank you too, and happy birthday to you.
All right, I was waiting for it. One of you guys was going to say it at some point, but thank you very much, and we'll move on now, but thank you.
Yo, thank you.
That was Christopher Dambeats there from Porsche 24, driven by Redline. It was going to happen at some point, Paul, but now we do have to talk to the driver that finished second in points today, and well, third in race number 2. We'll have to bring Diogo Pinto up into the commentary booth, and Paul, you're standing by with the driver that's had it all to lose in race 1 and did lose it.
Yeah, Diogo. I mean, we were all gutted for you in the commentary booth, but just talk us through. It's a contrasting races for you, an absolute nightmare in race 1, but race 2, my goodness, what a recovery drive from you.
Yeah, race 1, it was on me to have that start. I decided to be a little bit more aggressive on the clutch bite point, since the track was quite cold, and it didn't work out for me. But yeah, Max was really fast on race pace. I think my 1 lap pace was there, I was quite strong, but I was missing some tenths on race pace. And yeah, the second one was quite fun, I had some tenths, and yeah, I'm happy with third. It's a nice way to finish off the season.
Well, that's it. It gave you that opportunity to put race 1 to bed and really just try and finish on a positive, and you've got to look at the positives in life, and you know, you have finished second place in the championship. Yeah, it's €8,000 that you are getting there for yourself as a reward for that. Just how intense has this championship been for you in this battle with Max Benica?
Overall, I'm quite happy to fight Max all the way. I think overall I was missing just a little bit of pace, and especially under pressure, I still crack quite a lot. But yeah, I have to learn with my mistakes. I think it was my goal to finish in the top 3 at the end of the season and come away with second and quite a few wins. I'm happy with that, and now I have to focus on the Super Cup next year. That's my target.
Well, that's it. I was going to ask what's next for you, but the Porsche Esports Super Cup, it is a big challenge, is that one. And how has this, have you been able to use this as a way of helping you prepare for that championship?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm an improved driver. If I compare myself now to a few months ago when the season started, the Carrera Cup season started, and especially under race situations, I feel stronger, and on pace I feel like I'm improving every time I drive, and that's it. We'll see the Super Cup with the new car and some new tracks where I can do. But definitely I'm still missing a little bit to be at the top, as I saw today. some situations under pressure and racing. It's some improvements, but I'm happy overall with the season.
Well, I'll let you get off, but congratulations anyway. Second place in the championship, and you gave us a tremendous show and a tremendous display of racing out there throughout the season. You should be proud of finishing second in this championship. Diogo Pinto, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep, thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, there we go. It's a bit heartbreaking to just to keep in mind what happened here today with Diogo, but he seems relatively positive going into the next couple of things that he'll be doing. Of course, there's so many other Porsche series that are going on in sim racing, not just in iRacing as well. He could potentially get himself involved in. Of course, we'll see him in the Super Cup in the new year as well. So I think he's going to take a lot of positives from this. So yes, it was kind of falling at the final hurdle, or at the final bunch of hurdles, shall we say? But in the end, it's still a very well-run season from Diogo.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said to him just there, he should be proud. He's done a really, really good job. You compare to what he was doing at the start of this year's Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup. He was a bit wild and a bit really sort of aggressive, and people were giving him a bit of a wide berth. He has come on so much this year, and he's a tremendous talent. He could be one to look out for next year. He really has had a good 2020, 2021 even.
Yeah, you're still living in last year, Paul. But we do have to speak to one more driver very, very quickly here. David Williams finishing in 4th in the championship here today. Was involved in quite a bit of battling over the course of the race as well. It seemed like the front end of your car got punched in race number 2 as well. Just describe your experience out there, David.
Yeah, pretty much that. I mean, so coming into today, I knew that I needed everything to fall my way, basically. I needed a very strong performance, maybe a season best performance, and I needed something to happen with Christopher. So we gave it a good try. The first race was strong. I was quite happy to fight with Christopher, to be honest. I think we had a really good brawl. Some rubbing, which was not something you often see in iRacing for multiple laps. So I really enjoyed that, to be honest. But yeah, a little bit disappointed in myself to eventually lose the position. And then I made a small mistake and I lost a couple more positions after that. So yeah, it quickly went downhill, to be honest. But we really had to try something, and I still enjoyed myself. Race 2, I had another really good start. Actually, even a better start than in race 1, and I was basically in P2 going into turn 1. But yeah, I didn't realize it was 3 wide essentially, so I allowed for what I thought was a very friendly amount of space, but still got turned around, unfortunately. I still enjoyed the championship. I mean, I said before the season, or sorry, before this round, that it was missed opportunities and almost situations. That was the same today. So I enjoyed coming back through the field at least.
Yeah, it seemed like drivers were certainly taking that last race as sort of bit more of an enjoyment race, just to let off a little bit of steam, I suppose, that has been building up over the course of the season. But of course, your focuses are now elsewhere. You're involved in the Porsche Carrera Esports Super Cup Contender Series as well, I believe. So how's that going? And you looking positive into that as well? Has this helped a little bit, just to distract you in a good way?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been nice, to be honest. They're both using the same car. I still like this car, even though it's very much a love-hate relationship. And yeah, to be fair, it's going quite well for me in contenders. I think I'm 3rd in the championship, but it's very, very close at the top if you include the drop week. So a couple rounds left. Yeah, back again next weekend. So very much looking forward to it. And I think it's your birthday today, so happy birthday, Connery.
Okay, I think someone's doing something behind the scenes here, just letting everyone know. I did tweet out about it, but yeah. Thank you very much, David. Great job over the course of this season. We of course wish you the best of luck in the Contender Series as well. We would love to see you back in the Super Cup side of things. It's certainly very capable of running quite high up in that series. So hopefully we'll see you there. But for now, we will have to let you go. So enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks a lot, you too.
There we go. That was David Williams there from the Coanda Sim Sports team. We will wrap up very, very quickly here. We can get ourselves the look at the standings as well here at the end of race number 2 for the final round of the season. I've been Connery Maddock. I've been joined by the ever wonderful Paul Smith and Nico Menzel. There are the points. Unofficial points because the official race report has not been published yet, but definitely one thing that's not going to change is Maximilian Benecke, top of the pile. He is 12,000 euros richer, and he gets himself the title of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland champion. Fantastic stuff from Team Redline driver. Diogo Pinto, second place, with Christopher Dambeat in third. They will get themselves prize money each as well. 8,000 euros to Diogo Pinto, 5,000 euros to Christopher Dambeat. So a great little payday for both of those drivers there. So with that, I will unfortunately have to end things here. I've been Connery Maddock. I've been joined by Paul Smith and of course Nico Menzel as well. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have the expertise of both a real-life commentator and, of course, a driver in the real world as well. But with that, we do have to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for watching over the course of this season. It's been a pretty crazy finale. It's been crazy races all throughout, and hopefully we'll get to see you for a second season of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland here on iRacing. But we have to stay posted for that. Goodbye.